Good afternoon to all of you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay, how many are there in this group altogether? How many students? Any idea? Yes, can someone tell me how many are there? Because there is only 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. How many altogether? Any idea? Kumudu, what is the average participation of this group?
Actually, at
35, sir.
at the
35. So
beginning, it was 35. Last class, I think we have more than 15. We had,
50.
yes,
So
15.
that 15. Okay, they are starting their work at Sri Lankan time.
Maybe.
Yeah, 1:30 means around 1:45. Okay, so we'll wait for another 5 minutes and we'll start continuing.
Joining, no, sir? 8.
Yeah. All of a sudden they have realized there's a class. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes, yes.
Right. Okay. So my topic is on recovery of loans in the banking sector. Now I will get an introduction just to get an idea what type of a forum is this. I will have a individual chat thereafter. So why this topic is important for banking sector or individuals who are representing the financial sector, we have to see. Right now, when you come to the banking or the financial sector, all of us, majority of the, almost all, everyone are having some common issues. One is the dollar issue, right? And as a result, we can't open LC. And as a result, certain facilities we can't accommodate. We can't address the customer's requirements, and less opportunities in the market for lending. Deposit rates were down, now gradually increasing, and so many other common problems all of us are having. I think we need to understand we are representing a most important sector in this system or any economy, and we have to collectively work together. Unfortunately, in certain instances, because of the competition, sometimes banks, they don't focus on teamwork. Instead of that, they focus on individual type of achievements. So what you have to understand, uh, unless we work together, we will not be able to achieve as a country. So you can see the political parties blaming each other, and some say that the previous regime is responsible, the previous regime say the current regime is responsible, or this was there from 1978. So no one really want to pull out of danger. Instead of that, everyone is giving reasons. So then finally what happens, if something happens to the financial sector, it will be the end of the economy as well. So as bankers, as financial institution representatives, we have to understand the reality of this system, and we need to, one of you all have not muted your mic. Can you please mute your mic? Right. So as a sector, we need to improve collectively. Now, out of that, recovery of loans in the banking sector is very important. Now, there are different methods that you can recover your loans, but due to lack of knowledge, due to lack of perfect documentation, we struggle in this exercise. I will explain what are the areas that we can, or what are the methods that is available for bankers or the financial institutions to recover loans. And thereafter, I will discuss certain securities available in the market. Now, when you come to lending, we should not lend based on the security. Now, the trend is where sometimes when the customer comes, first question may be, okay, what is your requirement? I want a loan of 1 million or a loan of 5 million. So then you might ask for what? Okay, they might say, okay, for working capital. Then the next question you will ask, what is the security that you are going to offer? So if you are lending based on the security and there is something wrong in that particular analysis part, you should not lend based on the security. You need to lend on the quality or the repayment capacity of the customer. Right? Quality customers are important, right? Sometimes you might think where to find this so-called quality customers. I'm not going to say that all high-end type of customers we don't know, but a customer who has a discipline is important to get in as a customer for lending. So unless that we understand the requirement, and if you are going to lend against the security, if you are happy with the security and if you are going to lend, I think that is not the case that we need to focus, because one particular day security value might go down. So on that particular day you will realize what is the purpose of having security. It has happened in certain instances where the values of the properties have gone down. Right? Then the property value goes down means your security value also will go down. Then you are exposed to the customer. Customer is not in a position to pay, and finally you will have to write off a huge amount. So security based lending is not the case. Always understand, you need to uh, uh, understand the requirement of the company customer and then lend. Okay, banking, is it a business or a profession? How do you look at that? What do you think? Banking, is it a profession or a business? A business or a profession? Yes, I'm waiting for answers because we all of us are adults. I don't think, and on top of that, we are bankers. So more interaction means you can get more from me, right? Okay. Banking, is it a business or a profession?
It's a profession.
It's a profession. Sorry, it's not clear. It's not clear.
As well as financial information, it's a business.
It's a business. Any different answers? Okay, it's a business. It's not a profession. but we have to ensure that we run this business in a professional manner, right? We have to run this business in a professional manner. Now, at the end of the day, your organization have given you certain targets. Once you achieve the targets, means that's bottom line is the profit, right? So it's important for you to earn profits because you are not into charity. But that doesn't mean that you have to earn profits unethically. If you earn profit ethically only, you can sustain for a long period, right? But comparing with our business, banks and finance companies and leasing companies, their approaches are different, right? Quick service come from finance and leasing companies, whereas banking sector, we can't go up to that level because our approach is different. We need to maintain certain standard. That doesn't mean that those companies are not maintaining standard. They have a standard, but they are most of the time their catering, their crowd is different, right? And their approaches are different. So anyone who can't get a facility from the bank, they will go to a finance company and get the facility at a higher rate, right? Because banks approach is different and finance company approaches are different. And at the same time, you don't have to have any fear of investing in finance companies, because there are certain finance companies bigger than the banks. But prudent investment is very important. When you are investing as a banker, now you advise a lot of your customers how to invest and so many other things. But when you are investing, you have to ask certain common sense questions. If you fail to ask certain common sense questions, you might go behind the number or you might go behind the rate, and finally your investment you will lose. So investing in finance companies is no issue, but at the same time you should be able to ask certain basic common sense questions and see whatever the rate that they offer you, is it a practically achievable target. Now, have you all heard about golden key? What happened in golden key? Yes? Any idea? What happened in golden key? Yes? Can you remember anyone have any experience? Bad experience? Yes?
They gave a higher return, is it, for their deposits?
Yeah, what is the return they offer at that time? Any guesses?
14-15%.
14-15%. Any different answers? Yes? No? Depending on the size of the investment, they paid 30 to 35%. Now, those investors, people who investors are knowledgeable people. There were doctors, accountants, engineers, cricketers. There was one photographer, famous photographer. He mortgaged his property and got the money out and invested in the golden key. He lost his property as well as he lost part of his deposit as well. So, for a company to pay 30 to 35%, we'll say 25%. For them to pay 25%, at least they have to get an average income of 40%. Now, what is the business that we have in this market to get 40% margin? Right? I'm talking about ethical businesses. Either you are into drugs or weapons, yes, you can get something more than that. But in a normal day-to-day business operations, it's very difficult to get something more than 10 to 15%. Even to get 15% growth, you will have to put a lot of efforts. So unfortunately, people went behind the number or the percentage or the rate they are offered, and they collapsed. So what they did was, Golden Key is not a finance company or a bank. Only the finance companies and the banks can accept money. They were not falling under that category, and it's not a regulated entity as well from the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. So what they did, they issued credit cards. Now, for an example, if I have 10 million, I will go and keep this 10 million with them, and I will get a credit card for a limit of 9 million. So their argument is where they have issued a credit card, and the credit card is backed by this 10 million security. So there is nothing wrong in that under the law as well. You can take the cash backed security for any instrument. My intention is not to use the credit card. My intention was to get the high return that they offered at that time. At that time, the bank rates were around 16 to 18, even at the peak level. So my intention is to get the high return, not to use the credit card. So finally, organization collapsed. Now, who paid at the end? What happened to that depositors? Anyone? Any? Umali?
They lost their money.
Yeah. So who paid finally?
Finally, depositors.
Depositors lost their money. Yes. What happened to them? Did he receive their money? They lost their money. Who paid? There was a settlement for that. Kumudu, what is your view on that? Kumudu?
Yeah, central bank interfered, no?
Yeah, central bank interfered, right. So during 2015, when the previous regime came, they gave an option for the depositors to withdraw their cases, and 50% out of their deposit is settled by the central bank out of treasury money. Now, whose money is treasury? Treasury money belongs to whom?
Governments, and finally it's ours.
Yeah, finally your hard-earned tax-earned money, no? So finally you all paid for the penalty. So it was just one example out of these collapses. Internationally, there are a lot of collapses, right? So bankers must understand when they are dealing with the customers, always you need to protect your interests. Because of the numbers, you should not dilute your values, dilute your qualities. You can achieve the numbers, but at the end of the day, your NPL, your non-performing might increase. Now, customer service is the number one. No argument on that. Sometimes the bankers, what they say is, no, we have to give the best customer service. No. So as a result, we are not following these rules. Sometimes the customers, they come and say, look here, sir, you're the only bank that are asking all these documents. The other ex-bank is not asking. Y bank is not asking. Why are you asking all this? You all are harassing us. It's a common statement. If one customer says that, tell him, if that bank is not asking, why you are coming here? Why don't you go and get things done from that end? Why are you worrying us? So definitely the other bank is also asking the same set of questions or same set of information. Why they are coming here? Because they know once they put pressure to you, you will be flexible and you will accommodate the facility. Sometimes you might lose one or two customers, but at the end of the day, you are protecting the interest of the organization. Customer service is number one, no argument. However, you should not compromise the quality. Action should be in line with your bank size. Big banks can't fail. Those are too big to fail. And you have to understand what is the size of your business. And depending on the size of the business, you have to form into contracts. Small bank have some little bit flexibility, right? But big banks can't do what small banks are doing. Even the central bank regulator regulators very clearly says the things that those are happening in the small banks, you can't have it in your bank. We can accept those things from a small bank, not from a big bank like you. Need to follow regulatory instructions, ethics, values, common sense. I think common sense is the most important thing. Unfortunately, today common sense is uncommon. And as a result, people run behind numbers, and at the end of the day, they have not achieved anything from the system. So getting profits is fine, no problem. You need to get a profit. I told you it's a business, not into charity. How you achieve this profit is the most important. Right? How ethically how you are achieving this profit. Unethically, you can do so many things. You don't want ethics to do business. Unethically, you can do a lot of businesses as well. Right? You can see when you switch on the TV news, top to bottom, it's unethical actions, no? Murders, killing, drugs, bribes, weapons, right? So nothing positive that you can get from that. So the systems are corrupted, but make sure that your banks are not corrupted. Sector, we need to protect our sector. In order to protect our sector, we have to always try to do what is compliance, not non-compliance. You need to do what is in line with the governance. But unfortunately, these terms, governance, risk, compliance, are just box ticking exercises. You tick the box and say, okay, we have everything in place. And finally, those companies also collapse. So the most important thing, most important aspect of an organization is to maintain high level of ethics and values. We need to look after all stakeholder interest, right? In order to get the spirit what you want, what is required from the investors plus the depositors of the bank. Any questions? Now look at this picture. What does the board say? Do not climb, play on and around the pipe. Now what is the picture says? Is it in line with the board or not in line with the board? Yes?
In line with the
Yeah. So we can settle at least these are kids. Now if your organization, if your team is working in this manner, what will happen to your organization? So compliance is no magic. It's always doing the right thing in the right way. But unfortunately, the people don't understand that. If your right versus wrong is the two basic principles for any business, any individual. If you do the right thing, you will get the right results. If you do the wrong thing, you will get a wrong result or bad result. So from the day you are born, your parents would have told you, Puta, do this, you will end up here. If you do this, you will end up here. Right? So the right, wrong, good, bad are the main four words that we know from day one itself. But unfortunately, people don't respect those words. As a sector, we need to respect these four words because the spirit of our existence depends on these four words. Trust of our depositors depend on these four words. Out of those four words, good and doing the right thing, not the wrong thing or not the bad thing. So there is nothing magic in this system. People are talking about pandemic, right? Pandemic is a problem, but at the same time, pandemic has become a positive aspect for certain businesses as well. Now think about your own organization. Still, the results are not out. What was the last third quarter results? Is it good or bad comparing with last year and 2019? Yes, your profits. Is it good or bad? Yes. I'm talking about the third quarter profits which are published. Kumudu?
It was better than 2020.
Yeah. What about 19? Is it better? It was better
Higher than
than
2020
2019
and
as
better
well?
than, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Patrika, any idea about your profits? Third quarter last year? Still the final results have not come out. Yes, Patrika? Omali?
It's better, sir,
It's better.
than the previous year.
Yeah. So how can you say that you were affected out of COVID? If you really focus on your interests and surroundings, definitely you can achieve what you really want. So don't consider anything as a restriction or a block. Right? If we really want to do, if we really want to change this system, we can do it. But unfortunately, we are not so focused. That is why we are struggling in this system to say, okay, we always are a group of negative people. Our mindset is negative. That is what the news item shows you. They can market their negative things, but it's very easy to market negative things than positive things. So that is one reason where when you switch on the TV, you can get all the bad information. Nothing good for you to talk, nothing good for you to say. Because it's very easy for them to market the TV channels to market negative things because people prefer problems. If I see a problem in you with you, I'm happy. So have you watched this teledrama series? Run the Empire. Each and every channel they have a series of teledramas for 2 hours. Now, what is the message that you can get from those teledramas? Majority are family problems. So then what happens? You compare your family problem with that particular artist's family problem and you are happy. So and so is also having a similar problem. Now see, he did this, so I'm also trying the same thing. Right? So our mindset is very negative. As a finance sector, in a negative mode, we will not be able to go further. So that's very important. Okay. Any questions? Now, this is a balance sheet of a finance of a bank. Can you see the slides? Can you see the slides?
I can see, sir, but the figures are not very clear.
Okay. Now can you see?
Yes, sir, it's very clear now.
Right. So if you see assets and liabilities, we'll take the liabilities. Stated capital is the shareholders' money. Deposits 700. Stated capital 125. Debts and other borrowed funds 100. Borrowing from other banks 50. Others 25. Total 1000. Now all our liabilities comes from public. What we have done, we have used those liabilities and converted into assets. Cash 50, other financial assets 150, loans 700. So straight away depositors money we have lent. Property and plant 50, others 50,000. So understand that we are a group of people who are depending on others' public money. So if a loan is not performed, if a loan fails, we will not be able to pay our depositors. So then there will be a credit crash. Loans are going down, NPL ratios are increasing, depositors will not get the money. So it's a crisis type of a situation. And then we will not be able to survive in this system. Economy will crash. So therefore, it's very important for the banks to understand or to have a proper system of or systems of recovering loans. And customers, normally they don't intentionally default. When you have problems, you have to give priority in your life. So in such an instance, you will give more priority for immediate needs. If you have 1,000 rupees, you will not go to a 5-star hotel. You will go for average place, or you will buy rice and 2 vegetables, if possible salmon tea, and we will try to survive with that. Right? So people don't unnecessarily spend, but you need to understand, when you lend for a customer must pay the bank. If not, all connected transactions will collapse. So you have the ripple effect of that. Collapse of one point will collapse the rest of the factors. Then people will start withdrawing money. If depositors start withdrawing money, no organization can survive. No so-called giant banks can't survive, because we don't keep 700 million depositors money with them. We, instead of that, we, based on the terms, short term, medium and long, we lend. So the long term may be 20 years. So until the 20th year, you have not got what you have lent. Right? So this is the challenge that what we see when we are living out of other people's money. We have to ensure that we maintain high level of transparency, honesty, integrity. So when you come to governance, we say these are the pillars of governance. Now, organizations are talking about governance. Banking sector governance is separately discussed, right? In addition to that, central bank as the regulator is monitoring our transactions and our behavior. So many outsiders are watching us. And if collapse of one entity will lead to a collapse of all sector. So that is the danger what we see in this system. We need to understand that we need to work together and improve this market rather than competing each other. Right. Any questions? Any questions? Yes? Any questions?
No, sir.
Right. Okay. Now the customer confidence. Maintaining the customer confidence is the key to success of in the finance sector. Financial institutions accept public deposit and lend such deposits as co-banking business with a margin, which is called a profit. So you borrow at 5% and you lend at 8%, the 3% is going to be the margin or the profit. Right? So that's how simply the banking business. except deposit and lending. There is no magic behind this banking business. We always do take money from others, right? And we lend to our customers uh, at a high rate, right? So in order to maintain these rates, we have to ensure that we give the effective service. That's where the customer service will come. So sometimes the businesses might say, or the banks might say, we want more customers. So based on the targets that you have given, at the end of the day, you will say, okay, X must bring this amount, Y must bring this amount. So not only in the banking sector, even the other companies, they have similar targets. Now there was a leading hospital. On that leading hospital's finance department, they have a whiteboard. In that whiteboard, there are certain targets. Number of x-rays per week, number of blood tests per week, number of ECGs per week. So there are fixed targets. So that is why sometimes you might go for something else and sometimes they recommend all the tests. So because they want to achieve the targets which are given from the organization. In addition, financial institutions accept public investments by issuing shares at a free cost, accept deposits, issue debentures, and borrow money from overseas at a fixed cost and use such money to lend expansion. Hence, financial institution 100% run its business by utilizing public money. No argument. We take other people's money. Out of the money, depositors' money is much more higher than the shareholders' money. That's the main difference of a bank and any other company. That's the difference of a financial sector company, deposit taking company, and other companies. Because other companies, the main liability is with the shareholder, because you have taken public money. But in case of a bank, in addition to the shareholders' money, you have taken depositors' money as well. Depositors' money is many times above the shareholders' money. That is why the Central Bank of Sri Lanka is there to see whether you're in line with their rules and regulations. Right? So when you come to corporate governance, the central bank is there to protect the depositors. Companies Act is there to protect the shareholders. So, but still, you need to ensure that you are looking after the depositors' interest than the shareholders' interest. Now, since we are taking public money, therefore, it is of paramount importance that the banks, as one of the important financial institutions, to carry on their business of banking with utmost trust, with adherence to good behavioral practices, and maintain high standard. Hence, customer confidence is the key to a sound banking system. If you can maintain your customer confidence, I think your customers will stay with you. They will not move out, they will stay with you because they are confident with you. Now, in order to maintain this so-called confidence, right, you should know what you are doing. If you don't know what you are doing and where you are leading, it's going to be a problem. Now, all your companies, all your businesses have vision, mission. Vision is where you want to go in the long run. Mission or mission statements are the short-term targets that you have, right? In order to achieve this mission, you will have certain objectives. To achieve objectives or targets, you will have a plan. with strategies. That is why we call that a strategic plan. When you're arriving at the strategic plan, you have to ensure that the risk is considered, internal controls are considered. So there are a lot of responsible stakeholders for a company when they are preparing their organization strategic plans. So if the organizations are not having a proper system, they will not be able to give the maximum service and maximum contribute to its investors, either the depositors or the shareholders of the company. Now, contractual relationship with bank and customer. This is one of the most important relationship that we have to build. It has bankers, nothing oral. Everything should come in written form. If the things are not coming in written form, sometimes there will be a problem. So what are the requirements for a valid contract? I know that you all know you all are forming contract every day. What are the requirements for a valid contract?
An offer and an acceptance.
Offer and acceptance. Okay. What is the first thing? Most important first thing?
It should be agreement.
Agreement. Okay.
Customer application,
Customer application. That
credit
is the
application, or the credit
credit
request.
application. Okay. Now
It
the
should
first
be it
yeah.
should be a legal contract.
Yeah, that's also required. Before that,
Is that the KYC?
KYC. Okay, KYC is also important. What else? The first requirement is missing yet. Yes. Capacity is also important. Yeah, almost
Consideration.
consideration is important. Yes. All other requirements you have stated, but the first one is not mentioned.
Customer identification, NIC or the business registration.
Yeah, those are also important. Yes. The intention of the customer. Now we'll take one example. You're hungry now. Right? You feel you're hungry. Your system says now I'm hungry. So the second thing, okay, then you want to eat something. Then you decided I don't have anything at home. I'm going to a restaurant and eat. So then the second question you will ask whether forming a contract with a restaurant is legal or illegal. No problem, it's legal. You are going to buy a bun. Then you will ask whether I have the capacity for that. Yes, even a minor can buy a bun, no problem. Since you are a major, you can buy a bun. So the intention was the triggering point. Then you check whether according to the intention, what you are going to perform is legal. And then you identified whether you have the capacity. Then you go to the restaurant and you will ask for a bun. That is the offer. Right? Restaurant owner accept your offer and keep a bun on a piece of on a plate, and he will keep on the top of the counter and he will say it's 100 rupees. So your offer to sell a bun accepted by the restaurant owner, and he took the bun into a plate and kept it on the table where you have to pay the consideration. That is 100 rupees. So without the intention, you can't form a contract. So all these products are trying to create an intention of the customer to come and buy your product. So that is why when you want to products, you will have colorful picture, you will have funny things, just to attract your customer, just to convince your customer, come and make an offer. So when the customer sees something unusual, he think, okay, then I must go to this bank and see whether I can open an account or whether I can purchase this product. So the intention is clear. I want to purchase a product from your bank. Then I will see whether it's legal. Banking is not unethical, illegal. He has the capacity. He is not a minor. Then he will come and request, okay, I want this product. When you're happy after the discussion, you will give the forms, required forms. Parties will sign, offer acceptance. You might say, okay, you have to deposit 100,000 to get this product. Consideration is passed. Thereafter, contract is formed. Right? Another simple example, when you come to lending, I want 100,000. So I was thinking what to do. We'll say I want 100,000 to buy a watch. So my intention is to buy a watch. So then I looked for some good brands and realized, okay, there is a good brand. The watch is 100,000, but I don't have money. So the next thing I will think, okay, I will go to a bank and borrow. Borrowing is legal. I do have the capacity to borrow, no problem. Then I will explain my request to the bank officer to say, I want to buy a watch. I want 100,000. So they will do an analysis. Okay, they will go through my performance in the sense the repayment capacity. And there's nothing for 100,000 you normally, sometimes you might lend based on the customer. And they give the offer letter. And I sign the offer letter, that is acceptance. And they will credit that money to my account. So it's very simple mathematics, right? There's no big jargons or when you come to this contractual relationship. So we need to ensure that we form written contractual relationships, not oral. Now, if I come to your bank and ask for 100,000, give me 100,000. Will you give me 100,000? No. I can request that from a friend, but not from a bank. Banks, you have a process. You need to go through that particular process, right? And after fulfilling the requirements only, you can give me 100,000. Whether it's 100,000 or 1 million or 100 million, the process, there is a process, right? You have to follow the process. If you are going to lend without following the process, it will be a non-compliance and there will be internal control violation, and internal auditors will raise concerns in your audit report. So please understand that you need to ensure that a contractual relationship, a proper contractual relationship is formed between you and me, or your institution and me. In case if I'm not going to pay this 100,000, it amount into a breach of contract. I have breached. So then you will send me some reminders. If I'm not responding for those reminders, will send me a letter of demand. If I'm silent on that, you will take me to courts and file action, right? So you have to take action irrespective of my profession, because you have taken public money. If I'm not going to give this 100,000, you will lose 100,000 from depositors' money. Therefore, whether you like it or not, you can't write off. Sometimes you might think, what is this 100,000? Better we write off. But you have to give an attempt to see whether you can recover this money from me or not. In case if I'm a hardcore type of a non-performer, you will sacrifice your profit and you will write off from books. Because you know that I'm not going to pay at all, then it will affect your bottom line profits. So building a customer relationship is one of the most important requirements. Now, what is KYC? Yes, what is KYC?
Knowing about your customer, his
Yeah.
profession, and about his whereabouts.
Yeah, know your customer. Do you all know your customers? Do you all know your customers? If you all know your customers, how can you have high level of NPL? If you know, easily you can say it's due to pandemic, they have lost their business opportunity. Now, your good friend, you might be having one or two good friends, no? Will they default you? Will they default you? You say he has taken 10,000 for a week. Will he get lost with that 10,000 or will he pay you?
Under normal circumstances, he will not default.
Yeah, what do you mean by under normal circumstances? Can you just
I mean,
elaborate that?
if we give him, say 10,000 for a business, and then the business gets affected, he may find it difficult to face us, and then he may default.
Okay. So simply, but he will inform you, look here, I had a problem, and because of that, immediately I can't pay, I will pay within a short period. Or most of the time he will, unless he has a real concern, he will somehow pay because he wants to maintain this relationship. KYF, know your friend. And also you don't just give 10,000 for unknown person. If you know him only, we will give you 100 your 10,000. KYP, know your partner. Theoretically, the bankers, they get this document KYC, and there's a question whether you really know what is there in that particular document. Have you all read this document KYC form from top to bottom? Have you all read? Do you know what is there in the KYC form? Yes? Umali, what do you know? What is there in the KYC form? Have you read that document? At
Yes.
least
Income,
once in your career? Yes, Badrika?
income related things are there and their profession and
Now my question is whether you have read. I know general things are there, your profession, your income, right? So many connectivity, your email address, your NIC number. My question is, have you read this form from
yes,
Dr. No. Yes. What about the others? Chandima, have you read that particular KYC form
Yes.
from top to bottom?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now, majority of the bankers, they don't know what is there in that form, and we request the customer to fill and get. Sometimes when the customer has certain requirements, we also don't know how to fill. So KYC is the basic concept. Unfortunately, KYC, we consider KYC as a marketing requirement. Sorry, as an operational requirement. And for me, KYC is a marketing requirement. Why I say KYC is a marketing requirement? If you know me well, if you know me, my background, behavior, it will be easy for you to market your products. Right? If you know that these number of members are in my family, you can say, why not, sir? Why can't you open an account for your spouse? What about kids, teenagers? When you're issuing the credit card, why can't, shall we join the account? Since you have this number of children, why don't you buy a house? We will give you a loan. Your car is old. Why not to buy a new car? Right? So you can keep on adding things for me where I will maintain more and more relationships. So basic concept for banking relationship is the KYC. Nothing more than that. Right? If you know me well, I will not default. Our chances are less of defaulting, and you can add value to me at the same time. I can be a long sustainable customer of you. Think about your old customers who are there for years and years, right? Why they stay with you? Because they know that you will treat them well. There are a lot of other banks, but they are not worried about the other banks. They are concerned about you and your service and how to get maximum from your end. So there is no magic behind this KYC. Unfortunately, we, in case if the KYC form is not filled, we say it's a non-compliance. Even they fire you. If you don't have the proper KYC, they can go for penalties for non-compliance, money laundering aspect. And also this KYC, is it updated? Do you have updated information? Most of the time our records are outdated. Now, if you take your phone numbers, do you use the same phone number, mobile number, which you are using from the inception? Yes? Are you using the same phone number what you used from the inception? Yes? Have you changed their phone number? Yes? Yes? Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir, we
Okay,
can.
Yes, you can.
right. Right. Are you using the same old phone number? I doubt. Your residential address when you joined the bank and now is it the same?
Now the screen is not there.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, right. No, it's not. Sometimes it has changed. So what is the purpose of having old KYC in our records if we don't know the current situation of the customer? So the most important requirement is the KYC, not anything else. If you know me well, definitely you can build more relationship with me. And at the same time, if I know you well, chances of defaulting will be less because I will give more priority for your loan and your service. I will always give priority to you and I will pay your loan than the others. So that is the KYC relationship that we need to maintain among our customers. So KYC is the most important prime requirement, not anything else. Any questions? Any questions? Right. Okay. I think only we'll be having this number, no? Right. I don't think others will join. So I just want to give a small introduction about myself. And those who are joined, just give me just 2-line introduction about yourself, just for me to understand the crowd around this. And also, please on your camera when you're giving your introduction. Right. So, my name is Lasant Senaratna. I started my career with Sampath Bank in 1989. So I have completed 33 years in the bank. And every 4 to 5 years, I got the opportunity of changing my career options. And today I'm the board secretary. Previously, I was the group compliance officer. And this is my 14th title in the bank, since I got the opportunity of changing my career every 4 to 5 years. I started as a teller, and then gradually I was working for clearing, city clearing, central clearing, credit support, commercial credit, then the branch credit legal, credit legal department. Once I took courts, legal department, then the group secretariat, compliance, group compliance, and now I'm back once again the secretariat. So in this 33-year career, I saw a lot of changes in the system. Those days, this life was not so busy. People had a lot of leisure time. We started, initially I was assigned to the clearing department. Just I was operating a teller just one day. And then from the second day, I was transferred to the clearing department because it was a very tough job at that time because we had two clearing systems. One in the daytime 12 and the other one is in the midnight 12 o'clock during JVP period. So the competition was not there, no competition at all. We had a very huge unity. And at the same time, we were working, we started work at 5 in the morning, early in the morning, clearing. And we went home around 2 a.m. in the following day. But once again, we started our work at 5 a.m. We are back by 5:45 office. And our office cycle was around more than 20 years. 20 hours per day. But we enjoyed during weekend, we went trips. Everywhere possible, we enjoyed a lot. But today, that is not there. Even when you want to forget about this pandemic is something unusual. When you want to, if the things are normal, when you want to organize a trip, how many will come? How many will have thousands of reasons for them to give and to avoid that? So I have enjoyed my career at the Sampath Bank, and I have contributed a lot to my banking industry. And I'm a very regular member at IBSL. I was in the governing board, elected governing board member. 3 years I served for the IBSL. I'm the first senior fellow member at IBSL. So my wife also worked for the bank with my kids. I have 3 boys. She resigned and she's currently lecturing. And I'm a happy father, I'm a happy officer. And I have done whatever possible to my sister. Especially lecturing is one of my hobbies, I would say. It's true that we are getting a payment, but sharing our knowledge with the people, especially with the bankers, I prefer to work with bankers, different bankers. Then I can learn a lot. At the same time, I can share my little knowledge with them. Because today, knowledge sharing is not properly happening in the system. Right? So I started my lecturing in 2000, so almost 22 years in this field in different institutions. So that's all about me and myself. I see people running behind numbers, and halfway when they turn back and when they see behind, nothing is available with them. So my humble request, not to compete with anyone. All of us are in the same family, that is the financial sector family. Right? We need to maintain this relationship and continue. If one bank is going to collapse, it will collapse the entire banking sector. So we can't be happy to say, okay, that bank collapsed, okay, now we can get those businesses. No one will bring businesses for us. So this is the challenge that we have. Please understand, we can change this system as bankers, as financial sector people, and bring more value addition to the system. Okay, I just want your introduction. Just tell me where you are working and your experience and your name. That's enough for me to get an understanding. And also when you're talking, I told you, please on your cameras as well. then for me to see, because when we see outside, if you are doing it physically, yes, we each other we interact, but unfortunately the disadvantage of online is we don't know. We are teaching students behind the screen, and we don't know what's really happening at the other end. Okay, Chandima, can you start with you?
Yeah, I'm Chandima,
Yeah.
working for Sampath Bank, working as the manager in Athandi branch,
Okay. Right.
uh, having 20 years experience in
Experience.
banking.
Okay, Chandima. Good. Right. Hussein? Thank you, Chandima. Hussein? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Hussein Samsudin. I started banking in 1998. I joined ABN AMRO Bank at that time,
Okay.
and then in 2001, ABN AMRO was taken over by NDB. I was with NDB until 2011, where I was at trade finance for some time, and then I was in two branches, that is Kandy branch as well as Kegol branch. After that, in 2011, I crossed over to Amana Bank. After they became an Islamic bank, I joined Amana in 2011, and at the moment, I am managing the branch at Kurunegala.
Okay. Okay. So you have worked for almost three banks.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good. Great. Great. Kumudu?
Yeah, I am one moment. Yeah, my name is Kumudu Liyanage. My bank is HNB. I'm also counting more than 25 years in the bank, same bank HNB.
Okay.
So now I'm attached to Uvasabaraguma region.
Uvasabaragam. Okay. You're in the mainstream. Right. Good. Good. Right.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, Indika? Can't hear. You're muted there, Indika.
Sorry. Hi, sir, and
Hi.
hi, everyone. I'm a non-bank. I work for Singer. I work for Singer actually 28 years. It's a long career, as you said. I've gone changed my designation of work areas frequently. I started from credit from office. Then I worked out in the field as a field district manager, area manager, and business development manager. Now, actually, I'm heading credit once again. I'm head of credit. Uh, that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I want to share a lot of your bankers, the way the bankers are handling. So that was a main reason for me to, follow this course.
Good. Good. Knowledge is important, whether you
Yes.
are linked to
Yes.
this sector or not. It's very important. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Indika. Budrika?
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. Budrika? Sorry, Badrika. No, it's not clear, dear.
Now,
It's not clear. Right. Okay. You at the end you give your introduction. Lasantha, can you tell something about yourself?
Hi, Mr. Seramatna. Good
Hi.
afternoon. I'm Kalpa Jayasinghe, although my name registered here as Lasantha.
Oh,
I was registered in the previous course, that's why they have mentioned another name.
okay.
So
Okay.
I'm counting 21 years at Sampath Bank, after having 18 years in the branch banking and now in the cards and the credit area.
Yes. All known faces. Good. Good. After a long time, you all have decided to do some exams.
Thank you, sir.
That's great. Okay. Good. Good. Right. Thank you, Kalpa.
Thank you.
Anjana. Anjana.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes. Sorry. Yes, Anjana.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm Anjana Varna Singh. I work for NDB Bank at Pandra branch. I'm the credit officer. So I count 10 years banking experience. Started as a trainee banking assistant in 2012. So now I'm the person handling credit as a credit officer.
Okay, okay. Ganeshan, thank you. Thank you, Ananjana.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm Ganeshan, working at People's Leasing and Finance PLC as a senior manager over 8 years. Basically, I'm looking the region. That's what.
Okay, right. Thank you, Mr. Ganeshan. Kanchana? Kanchana? Kanchana or Kanchana? Yes. Kanchana? It's okay. Until Kanchana get ready. Tamara? Tamara? Yes, Kanchana?
Hi
Kanchana?
everyone, I'm Kanchana Jayalath, working. Kanchana, do you hear me, sir?
Yeah, can hear.
I'm Kanchana Jayalath, working for HDFC Bank. Currently working at as a senior executive in credit department.
Okay, thank you, Kanchana. Right, thank you. Tamara? Okay, right, okay. Anyone, did I miss anyone? Umali, are you in a position to give an introduction? Umali?
Yes, sir. Hi, I'm Omali, currently working for Nation Trust Bank. I'm attached to Nation Trust Bank, Navala branch. I'm working as assistant manager, assistant credit manager.
How many years in the bank?
14 and a half years now.
14 and a half, okay. Right, so anyone else I have missed?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, who's this?
I'm Kosala Senanayake, attached to DSCC Bank, Mother branch, just only counting 2 years experience in credit.
Right, what about your whole experience in the bank? Is it just 2 years?
Just 2 years, sir.
Okay, you are the youngest in the classroom. Right, good.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So thank you very much for your introductions, and just to get an idea, so I have a very senior set of bankers and experienced bankers. Then I can pitch little bit high when you are explaining these principles. Right, good. And if you have any questions, please raise these questions, because the whole idea is to sort our problems, not just to raise problems, right? So as much as possible, we'll try to find solutions. Now, before we talk about this, I told you that we are, most of the time, the financial sector is a little bit moving on a rat race, the numbers. Now, I hope that you all know SWOT analysis, SWOT. What is SWOT analysis? What is SWOT analysis?
Strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat.
Strength, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats. Now, do you know what your SWOT analysis, your personal SWOT analysis? Because definitely, when you are into these days, you might be into your strategic planning, or the month of December, you would have involved in your organization strategic plan. So you know about your organization strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, do you all have a SWOT analysis? Do you all have a SWOT analysis? Have you ever thought of a SWOT analysis of your? Now, if I request you to take a piece of paper, and if I ask you to write your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? Now, out of these 4, what is the most important? Strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat. What is the most important?
Strength.
Strengths.
Weaknesses is important.
Okay, right? Weaknesses are there, strengths are there. Any more answers? Yes. What about the others? There are two more options available. Opportunities and threats.
Opportunities are most important for me.
Opportunities are most important. Right. Anyone says threats? I'm asking, you're not your company. I'm asking about your personal SWOT. Anyone thinks that threat is a problem? Simply, you can't have threats. Because if you're competing with your neighbor, or if you have a land case with your neighbor, only you will have a threat. So unfortunately, people start competing each other, then you are in a track. You are in a race. So then what happens, right? Only in a race you will get only one person will win, others will lose. So why do you want to run a race, right? For me, opportunities is the number one. Now, if I ask you to take a piece of paper, you will write this strength, opportunities, and threats. You will have 20 odd strengths. You want to show your strengths. As human, we want to show things. You will hide your weaknesses, and you will write, since I'm insisting you will write 2-3 weaknesses, right? And opportunities, sometimes you don't know what are your opportunities. When you don't know the opportunities, only you will start this race. But at the same time, do you all have time to use your strengths in your day-to-day activities? You told that you all have strengths. Do you use all your strengths in your day-to-day activities? Yes? Kanchana? Ganeshan? Do you use your strengths?
Well, not 100%.
Not 100%. That's the issue. And weaknesses, we talk about weaknesses, but we don't take any action to overcome these weaknesses. What you should do, understand, you need to focus on your opportunities in the system. If you focus your opportunities and if you exercise your strengths to achieve these opportunities by overcoming your weaknesses, I think you can go where you want rather than competing with your competitors. As a business, we need to understand that your organization, my organization, X organization, and Y organizations are different. All of us are into banking, that's no argument, but still you're unique, I'm unique, X is unique, Y is unique. They will have different strengths, they will have different options, the opportunities, they will have different weaknesses. Don't compete. When you start competing, your threats will come. If I'm not competing with you, you're not going to be a threat for me, and you don't consider me as a threat. So unfortunately, in the banking sector, we have failed to look for our opportunities. If we can focus on our opportunities, rather than trying to overcome the weaknesses which we don't address, you will have a lot of time for use your strengths. And out of the weaknesses, I always categorize into 3: high priority, medium, and low. High priority weaknesses, I somehow I will rectify it. Medium, I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to take any action. I'm going to leave it that. Low, I forgot about that. So otherwise, we might spending a lot of time for our weaknesses to rectify weaknesses, but at the end of the day, sometimes that weakness is not rectified. We don't have time to use our strengths. So then the competition will come. So please focus on your own SWOT analysis. T you can out very easily because T is not a big challenging thing unless you are into competition. Focus on your opportunities and see how you can go do things differently. Multi-skilling is the future. I'm happy to see senior bankers are sitting in this forum and learning things. So that is what we want, to improve the quality of this service, improve the customer service, because there is no magic behind this entire exercise. Right. Why proper updated KYC is important for banker customer relationship. If you know me, only you can build a strong relationship with me. So if you don't know me, and you will not be able to maintain a good relationship. That is why the KYC is required. But unfortunately, what happens, the bankers, they take the KYC for two reasons. If when the internal auditors come, if the KYC form is not there, they will write in the internal audit report. Or when the FIU comes, if you don't have the updated KYC, they will go for a penalty. To avoid those two, you have the form, but still you don't know the customer. Those days we never had any forms. After 2006 only these forms were introduced, but we knew our customers. We knew whom we are going to deal, and there was no issues at all. So one can say, okay, those days the situations have changed. Now it's a competition. Now pandemic is there. Everything was there at that time as well. The war was there, JVP problems were there, almost similar activities. In your life, you will have to face different activities. When the activity comes, you might think this is the worst. Now, when you are doing your O-levels, you thought O-level is the biggest difficult exam. Now, when you start A-levels, you realize what is O-level. Now, when you are doing banking, you realize what is A-level. So at that time, the surrounding cases, the issues will be the most difficult and most difficult to achieve. But after some time, you realize what is this? This is not difficult. So every tenor, you will have certain problems around you. Facing those challenges in life with your strengths and looking for more and more opportunities is the biggest important thing what you have to understand. Now, lending and NPLs. You lend public money, and if the public is going to pay, you will have low NPLs. Right? If the public is not paying, you will have high NPS. Now, if you know this customer, KYC, once again coming back to KYC, even the NPL customers, when you go and talk, look here, this is, you need to pay. And if it's not good for me, while considering you, we gave the facility. So assist us also. When you say those words, sometimes they will come and somehow they will come and deposit some money just to protect you as well. So that is the relationship that we need to build with our customers. Now, as bankers, do you all take bribes? As bankers, do you all take bribes? Yes. Do you all take bribes? Umali?
No, sir. Not at all.
100% sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Kanchana?
No, sir.
100% sure?
100% sure, sir.
Okay. Now, under the Sri Lankan law, now government sector employees, if they take even 100 rupees, it's a bribe. It's a criminal offense. So in 2019, the government wanted to formulate a bribery and corruption policy to the country. And I got the privilege of representing the private sector in that particular committee. So then straight away they blamed us, private sector, you are the people who create this bribery and corruption. So then we asked, what's your concern? No, you have luncheon meeting, you give hampers, you receive hampers. Now those are also bribes. Why do you want to give a hamper? Just to get the business. Why are you inviting your customers for luncheon meeting? Just to get the business. So under Sri Lankan law, those are bribes. Those are criminal offenses. So can we say that we are not involving bribes? Now giving a diary or a calendar is not a problem, because value-wise it's a small amount, and there is no, sometimes whatever the diary that you give it, he will give to someone else. So even in 2018, I don't know whether this is happening right now, Railway Department, they have not taken a calendar or a diary. In 2016, with the previous regime, there was clear instruction for all the private sector companies, finance officers. Don't give any hampers. If you give hampers, right? When we go through your records, if you realize that you have given this, you are going to affect your license. Right? So giving a bribe, irrespective of the amount, is not acceptable. Right? Now, sometimes the customers might sponsor your branch department trip. The reason that they are good customers. So without knowing much, without understanding, sometimes you might agree with them. But be careful. The customers will give you a lunch, but they will expect you to give a high valued loan for them. So since your best customer, since you have got anything from him, yes, you will try to assist him, and finally it will be a non-performing customer. Omali, now still you are in the same argument. Maybe not, you are not taking, but do you all give any gift for the customers? There's nothing wrong, right? I'm talking as a platform, as a financial sector. That was the main allegation that came from the state sector, to say you all are the people who encourage. They took forget about the hampers, luncheon meeting. Sometimes you
Just for my clarification, sir. So if there's a hidden intention behind those business meetings or lunch, then we can just assume that as a bribe. So if there's no such hidden intention or like unethical deal or something, so then like those are general business meetings, and just to ensure relationship and all, we can just arrange those kind of thing, isn't it, sir?
Yeah, the point is where, okay, now you want to continue this relationship, no? Now I have given you, we'll say 100 million facilities to you to invite me for a lunch. So your argument is, okay, giving a lunch because I am a good customer is fine. But at the same time, unintentionally, you expect something more from me as well. If I'm going to start a new business, you expect that I will open those accounts. If I'm going to get a housing loan, you expect maybe that you're not communicating that, but most of the time it can happen. So it's difficult to prove your intention. Sometimes you never had an intention of getting another facility, because you are so good, I will give my housing loan to you. So unintentionally, you were able to convince me at that particular lunch. Now I'm giving my housing loan to you. So intentionally proving is not easy, but impliedly you're creating an environment for the customer to give you some business. So simply luncheon meeting, almost 99% can be considered as a bribe. Okay, but as you said, if you are doing it without even after that, if I'm going to give you facilities you are not going to accept, then that's fine. Otherwise it's not easy to prove that particular point. Okay, so but I want to highlight is that you can build relationships, no problem, but when you are maintaining relationship, be careful. Don't go beyond your official level, because customers might give certain things expecting a lot of things. There are in this industry, sometimes the customer will say, okay, you approve 10 million, I will give you 5%, I will give you 10%. The systems are so corrupted today. So first he will get 10 million and the officer will get 10%. After that, that particular manager will get a transfer and the organization will have to suffer. So these are the factors where the companies have gone, banks have gone high NPL ratio than what they expect. So lending and NPL, there is a clear relationship. And when you are building relationship with your customers, you need to be a little bit careful on that aspect as well. Right. Now, reasons for high NPLs and responsibility. Now, market economic conditions. So one can say, okay, the pandemic situation. right? Now, economic conditions, I think the market conditions and economic conditions, we'll forget about the pandemic. Economic conditions, who is responsible? One can say it's the politicians. Now, politicians, we expect politicians to do everything and bring magic and bring everything to this system. Until the politicians are doing things, we are not doing anything. Who send these politicians to the parliament? We send them. So then we are the responsible people. We have we time to time we change people, expecting that the new regime will do something. Then we'll keep on blaming them, and next time we will vote someone else, and once again we blame them. So I think most of the market and economic conditions, we are the main responsible party, because we select a group of people and we expect them to bring magic to the system. Right? Now, you saw in 2015, the Sri Lankan, majority of the Sri Lankan changed the political leadership for good governance. Right? And we expected a lot of governance, and if your expectations were very high, you might say there was no governance during that particular period. If your expectations were very low, you would say, okay, there was governance. Or if you are representing that political party, you are a favorite of that political party, you will say, okay, there was governance. Even there were a lot of transparent process were there. Information, whatever the act was introduced, right? So many other things that you will bring. My personal view, this is my personal view, less governance I saw during that particular period. The reason, just merely changing one individual, you can't bring governance, because the entire system is corrupted. People around that leadership is corrupted. So how can you bring one individual and expect governance from him? Governance is all about your processes and your behavior. Right? So our expectations were very high, and we changed only just one leader, not the rest. And we put a lot of pressure to bring governance. So it won't happen. He can't bring. Simply, he is also a human being. How can he change the entire system? We need to change the system. Right? We blame the top people and we do the same thing. So 100% market and economic conditions, we also since we are representing the financial sector. Inadequacy of regulatory support. You can say the regulators are responsible for that. Not having proper platform. I will go in little bit detail on that. Banks have failed in their responsibilities. Yes, we are directly responsible for our processes. Certain target-driven systems are there. And finally, people run behind numbers and without the quality, fail to maintain quality. Right? And as a result, organization collapse. I will try to show a video clip on Wells Fargo. They had this performance-based rewards system. And in order to achieve the performance-based rewards, they created 2 million fake accounts without customers' knowledge. And as a result, they had to pay huge penalties. Incomplete secret documentation. Now, are you all happy with your secret documentation? Your company's secret documentation, your bank's secret documentation, are you all happy? Yes? Are you all happy with your documentation? Silence show that you all don't want to commit anything. Is that the case?
Yes,
Patrick?
we are happy because the documentation are centrally handled now. Okay, in branches. Credit are separately handled at the credit verticals, and the documentation are handled at the credit admin department. So we see less mistakes than the earlier, which was handled by the branches. That is good now.
Okay. So since it's centralized, you think that your documentation are up to a certain level. Okay, good.
Yes, improve.
Yeah, improved. Right. Umali, what is your view on that? Are you all happy with your documentation?
Yeah, to a great extent, sir, because same here, even from NTB, the security documentation part is handled by backend team. So business and sales teams have no involvement. So everything has to be completed, then only the facilities are granted. So
Okay.
like cross check-ins are being done. So business, where business or the creditors, whoever who's handling the decision-making party and the people who bring in business into bank has no involvement unless the security documents are completed. The facilities are not being granted. So to greater extent, I'm okay.
Okay. Right. I will challenge all of y'all. If your documentations are strong and 100% perfect, we can recover action through debt recovery provisions, and we can recover our money within less than 1 year. Majority of the banks are not following the debt recovery provisions which are available for the banking sector, mainly because of incomplete security documentation. I will explain that how it happens. Right? Selecting wrong procedure by the bank for recovery. This is one of the key point. Why we can't take the correct procedure which is available for the banking sector, that is debt recovery provisions, because of incomplete documentation. Practical issues in securities. Now, can you tell me what any particular security that you think very good? Now you get property, you get vehicles, you get stocks, you get personal guarantees, you get shares. Now out of these security, what is the best security? Deposit is not a security. Which securities you think that is the best security? Yes?
Is it immovable properties?
Immovable, that's land and building. You think that land and building is good. Now you check with your recoveries and check how many properties are there unsold, where you can't find a buyer to resell those properties. Right? So now there is a market demand for properties, and there is a created market for vehicles as well, because the imports are not there. I think this vehicle market is too much, and it will not allow anyone to a new buyer to buy a vehicle, because this 6 million has gone to 10 million, 10 million has gone to 20 million. Artificially created market. So unfortunately, the person who is going to buy a vehicle at the first time, he can't buy a vehicle. He can't afford a vehicle actually, because the prices are too much high. Property, you might think, okay, it's a good investment. So always people think the property values are increasing. But in US, in 2008, subprime mortgage, due to the crash, or people say it's a recession, but it's not a recession, I would say. It's not a surprise, it was happening sometime. Due to subprime mortgage crisis, the property values went down, and the bank had a lot of properties with low value. They couldn't resell it. So though we say the securities, the immovable properties are good, I will show you the practical difficulties of accepting these immovable properties. Then you will realize, at the end I will prove that there are no so-called good securities. For me, the best security is the KYC. Through your relationship with your customer, I'm talking about this ethical relationship, banker-customer relationship, you can do magic. Unfortunately, as I told you, we are limited into a form where we don't know what is there in that form, just to avoid an audit commit or FIU commit. So then at the end of the day, we have not addressed our responsibilities. I will take one by one and I will explain how these things are happening in the market and why these things are important for us to ensure low NPL ratios. questions? So if you all have any questions, please raise those questions. Right, market and economic condition, its impact. Now up to 2019, we saw there was a boom. There was all of a sudden there was a collapse as well. Npls ratios went up due to property construction companies crashed. Hotel sector they had after the bomb attack, and your the advances growth went down. Right, mainly the construction field. Now we all have to understand, every 4 to 5 years you will have a collapse in the construction industry. Now today we have a lot of high-rising condominiums. Right, people invest in condominiums. Once again, it's artificially created demand you have today. Now everyone, when you see, you can see now there is a cement issue. You see that everyone have started. No, it's artificially created. It's just like now when you want petrol, and if there is a rumor to say that from tomorrow petrol is not there, you go to the queue, and if you are a normal person who weekly pump 1,000 rupees, you pump full tank. So then artificially your full quota will be not just 1,000 rupees, it will be 10,000 rupees. So just imagine the weekly production what they bring is 1,000 rupees for you, but you pump 10,000. Then artificially created demand will come. Right? So similarly, today in the construction field also there is a boom to show, okay, everyone is doing construction. No, that is not the case. It's artificially created. People stopped their work during the pandemic, and now there is a huge demand for construction products, plus imports are less, and as a result you see there is a boom. So my personal view, I will never ever buy a condominium. If I'm buying, I will buy a condominium where I can climb without a lift. Because what is the assurance that the owners will maintain these condominiums in the long run? If you're buying a high-end, very high sophisticated condominium, that's fine. I heard one condominium, I can't remember the exact name, near this Union Place, just 900 square feet, it's 62 million, 62.5 million. And they were talking about, there was 400 odd apartments, all construction, 50 floors. I can't remember the name of the construction. And they were talking all restaurants will be foreign top people are starting restaurants. So it looks very sound, very alarming, okay, to have an apartment in this place, just 900 odd square feet, 2 bedrooms. Still people invest in that particular company. Right? So for me, I will not invest because the question is bad. So I'm not talking about those type of high-end type of things. Average companies, you have to ensure that they will maintain in the long run. Now think about your own house, which is single stories or 2 stories. When you get a repair, do you have time to attend for those repairs? Do you think that these people will maintain your repairs if it is a high-rising building? So we have to understand at the same time, at least you will have a land. I'm not condemning these things, but I want to say is it's a little bit high risk. And the structure, what is the assurance of the structure? Because people want more profits, they dilute the structure, quality of the structure. One particular day, 50 floors will come down. This has happened in other developed countries also. So if you are buying, my personal advice, buy a land and a building, not a high-rising apartment. Because in the long run, we don't know whether they will be able to maintain that based on your requirements, right? So there was a clear trend, and further it went down after 2020 because of pandemic. Still certain sectors we are struggling to advance. Latter part of the last year, sorry, not the 2020, all banks were over liquid. There was no demand, right? They reduced their deposit rates below 4%. Because what is the purpose of getting your deposit if I don't have a market to lend? Right. So then the central bank did some changes. Now there is, once again, there's a liquidity requirement. But investing in the country is a question. Foreign investors are not coming, right? Then in residual loans, we saw increase in residual loan, right? Where there was a low in that, then it went up to a certain high amount. So reschedulement is good because you are assisting the customer. If you can't pay it in this manner, you will reschedule. We will have a longer period. But unfortunately, moratorium is some type of a reschedulement, I would say. But capital and interest were not paid. And what I saw was most of the people who took moratorium are the people who don't want it. Because they thought, okay, we don't have to pay for a year, 2 years, or 3 years. And they thought it's a huge advantage for them. And they leisurely paid their, spent their money. Now they are struggling today. Because from one end, the capital have increased, the interest have increased, total liabilities have increased, and now they can't cope up those installments. And as a result, sometimes the banks will have to look for different options. And top of that, what would happen if these facilities get crashed? Maybe that they have a property, but sometimes the value of the property and the loan outstanding would not be in line with the percentages. So we have to very closely monitor the next year, this year especially, to ensure that our customers will not go NPL. I know that they don't do it intentionally, but there can be possibilities. Non-performing ratios of the banking sector, it increased. And even it went beyond that. And pandemic 2019 onwards, it went up. And luckily, because of the moratorium, it got stuck. And now it's coming down. When all these moratorium offers are relaxed, then only we have to see what is the current situation. So what I know is pandemic, yes, there was a threat for the people's life, but there was that gave a lot of enormous opportunities for the people to think differently. The people who do something totally different. I know there was a leading motorbike import company. They started manufacturing this face masks, and they wanted to start some agriculture product. Unfortunately, then the fertilizer problem came. So people start thinking differently with this pandemic. People start building relationship with this pandemic. Right? Hotel sector, we never thought that. We thought, okay, that's the end of the hotel sector. True, the foreigners are not coming, but still now the hotel sector has converted into quarantine centers. Now they are doing well. As much as expected, they crashed. So that's the positive side we have to look from this pandemic, not the negative side. So increasing NPS, that can be two reasons, where the quality, you didn't concentrate on the quality. Instead of concentrating on quality, you focus on the bottom line results. And as a result, the bankers, they gave loans for non-deserving people and where they went bad. Right. Inadequacy of regulatory support. After I finish this particular slide, we'll have a short break and then continue. Inadequacy of regulatory support. Non-availability of calibrated rating information for customers. Initiatives from regulators are required. So if you see the rating, now if I go to X bank, especially even the risk rating as well, I might be considered as a low risk customer. If I go to Y bank, they might consider as a medium risk customer. If I go to another bank, they might consider me as a high risk customer. So how can you have 3 ratings for one customer? So across the sector, the regulator must introduce a platform where whichever the bank that I'm dealing, I will have to have one rating. So since I'm a professional lawyer, normally the lawyers, when you come to KYC, they consider we as high risk. Accountants and lawyers are high risk under FIU rules. Why they say lawyers advise money launderers to hide their money, and accountants know where to hide those. So as a result, lawyers and accountants are high risk. Right? So if I'm high risk at X bank, I should be high risk at Y bank, Z bank, everywhere. But I can't be a low risk customer because I have given information. We'll say X bank, I have given information that I'm a lawyer. So they straight away tick the box and say I'm a high risk customer. Whereas for Y bank, I have given my instruction as a banker. Bankers, they don't want to show that they're high risk. They will say low risk. Then I will go to Z bank and I will say I'm a lecturer. Once again, low risk. Or sometimes they might say medium risk. So how can I have 3 ratings? So your rating depends on what I say. So that should not be the case. There has to be a clear platform in the system. If I'm a lawyer, it has to get registered, and the platform should pick me from that particular, or the platform should be able to pick my qualifications and rate me as a high risk customer. That's it. Everyone will get to know that I'm a high risk customer. Non-available national database and forecast of macroeconomy. We don't have forecast on macroeconomy. No common platform. KYC, no common platform. A banks KYC, BY banks KYC, CY banks KYC, different methods. Right? Now, India, they started 2 years back, digitalization, their national identity card, and starting a common platform for India that they were planning to complete within 5 years. Last week I saw they have initiated their own currency. If India can do that, why can't we do? Simply the politician, they don't want to do that. Then what happens? They all these your details will get into a system. There are people in Sri Lanka who have 1 NIC and 3 passports or 2 passports. So how if you are in that kind of a platform, you can't have that much of that number of passports. Only 1 passport and 1 NIC. Though we think that the new NIC has a lot of digital features, no, you don't get any digital features. That's what they say that 14 or whatever the number of features are there. No, that is not the case. Once when I wanted that information, I spoke to the NIC department and I had told, okay, I'm so and so. At that time, I was attached to the compliance department. I'm so and so. I want to get this information. You say that you have this number of features in your NIC. Can I know what are the features that you have? Because we were planning to develop another new product. This online KYC identification. And they were saying, no, sir, we can't give it in writing. So if you have a system, why can't you give it in writing? If only the police or the CID request, we can give that information. When I check with the CID and they said, oh, look here, they don't have any, they don't have what they say. Maybe they have certain features, but it's not in line with the features which are available in Singapore. Right? So these are the things that the regulator must develop. Digitalization of NIC, non-availability of financial statement which will not reflect the actual financial position of the customer. Most of the companies prepare financial statements to meet the tax authority requirements. When you look at the financial statement, can you identify what is happening in that company? No, you can't. Sometimes the businesses, they have the management account and financial accounting. For you to really understand the business, you have to go through the management accounts. So we need to bring a common platforms. As far as we don't bring this common platform, it will be very difficult for you to identify the customers and their behaviors and how they deal with the system. Okay. Ease of doing business 2017 report. Sri Lanka was reported at 111 position in 2017. Easy to do business. It's very difficult to start a business in Sri Lankan context and continue. One important point, Sri Lanka is the best country for me comparing with other international countries. You might think, okay, they have infrastructure, everything, and you have apples, grapes, everything. Yes, we also do have apples, grapes, but we don't have dollars. We have rupees. So that's the only difference what I see. People earn dollars and they price it from rupees. This is where we have gone wrong. Now people are leaving this country. I don't know why they are leaving. This current situation is the current situation that we are facing today. They're talking about what will happen next year. Things will change. What to do? Is that does that mean that we have to leave this country and go to another country and stay as a second citizen, doing pumping petrol and carrying all this supermarket stuff? I can't see any reason for that. Maybe that you have relations, everyone is there, only you are here, then you have a reason. Now all the courses which are there in other countries, we have in Sri Lanka. There was one particular MBA. That particular MBA cost in Sri Lanka was 600,000. If you are doing the same MBA in Australia, it was 3 million Sri Lankan rupees. So same qualification. Now there's a trend. People go for these trends. Right now, you can remember early days in this pandemic, everyone started growing plants. Now what has happened to your plants? Definitely we will have the pots, not the plants. Now you are busy. Once again, you are running behind the rat race. So the way that people started planting trees, I thought that we can export to India. Right? So we are trying to living with trends, but we don't understand whether this trend suits you. Right? This is the biggest problem what we see in this system. Running behind numbers, running behind trends, sending their children, and they struggle to send these dollars. And they have to find alternative systems. Sometimes they can't continue it, and you're converting dollars from earning rupees. All qualifications, required qualifications for education is available in Sri Lanka. There is no requirement for you to send your children out. If they want, let them go for higher studies. But all basic education and even the higher studies is much more advanced than other countries. Okay, time required to enforce a contract, 1,318 days, 3.6 years. Procedure to enforce contract, Sri Lankan rating, 40th position. Cost of enforce a contract as per percentage of claim, 23%. Right, so enforce a contract, 3.6 years. Where we have this debt recovery provisions, but we have failed to exercise that. If we use the debt recovery provisions, with average would be 1 year or less than that. The main reason that we don't have accurate documentation. Right, any questions? How many minutes you all want as the break? Yes, how many minutes you all want as the break? What's your previous, how many minutes? Yes.
15 minutes.
15, okay. So now the time is 3:30. Come back by 3:45. Then I will continue with the rest of the points. So if you have any questions, please raise your questions. That's more important, finding solutions for your problems. So we'll try to find solutions for a problem as a team, not as X bank, Y bank, Z bank, as a team. Okay then, right, thank you. We'll meet in Okay, can we start? Are there any questions? Any questions? No. Now, next one, banks have failed in their responsibilities. It is required for banks to study the behavioral patterns of its customers to take appropriate actions prior to moving bad. So knowing customer behavior is the part of the KYC, right? Banks must have robust internal credit rating models, a good system which covers real-time customer information and macroeconomic conditions which affects the customers. This would help the bank to understand the customer behaviors at an early stage and take appropriate corrective actions. So I think now if you study your customer behavior, you can get an idea about the customer's future behavior as well. Now, unfortunately, all our normal process got collapsed because of the pandemic, right? And now sometimes, but now this pandemic has become a part and parcel of the system. By now, you should be able to understand your customers' behavior and what could happen to them in future. So this pandemic will continue. My gut feeling is where we will have to face for another at least 3 to 4 years. So it will continue. Because the main reason what I see, international countries, so-called giant super countries, are fighting each other to find a solution for this. Right? Now, simply pandemic is where the corona is flu and cough. Still, the so-called developed countries have failed to find a proper solution. Now, this has become a mafia, and now it is a marketing product. They earn a huge amount of money from this medicine and this sanitizer and the face mask and all connected stuff. Now it's a business market, I would say, separate market segment. Right? Watch listing process is not effective in the banks. Monitoring and watch listing. Different banks will have different processes. How effective is your system is only you know, but even sometimes the regulator can't understand. Performance-based targets. And when you have a performance-based target for a team, that is acceptable. The reason is where now we talk about a particular team, X team, Y team, your bank's X bank team, Y bank team. But when you come to performance, we try to introduce system where you get individual performance-based rewards. So it's totally against the concept of teamwork. As I told you, I will show not today, most probably the next session, Wells Fargo. What happened in Wells Fargo because of this performance base. In 2018, there was a foreign bank in Sri Lanka, a well-recognized high-end foreign bank. The local branch, in order to secure their profits or the performance-based rewards, they postponed a particular interest rate run from one quarter to another one. And as a result, finally, the top people, majority of the top people were thrown out from the company, from the bank. It happened in 2018. So you need to carefully study this process and recognize there has to be a recognition system to motivate people, but you should not go beyond the requirement. So it's also a reason for performance based. Now, when you have a target of lending where you had to achieve 100 million at the end of the year, and latter part when you realize, okay, you have achieved only last month, you realize you have achieved only 80 million. So the last month you are somehow trying to achieve that, you will push your lending even for non-suitable customers. That is what happened in subprime mortgage, where the authorities start lending for non-capable people, not responsible people. That is one reason the property market crashed. So there are pros and cons in these concepts. You'll have to carefully study and accept what suits your organization. I didn't want to comment further on that. So it's your organization call, right? Types of customer business entities and their liability for borrowings. Now, this is another concern that we see. Now, there are different types of customers: individual, joint accounts, sole proprietors, partners, companies. So these are the mainly common types of customers where I deal when you come to lending aspect, because my main topic will be on lending in the security documentation. So I'm just highlighting the failures in documentation and the legal process what we follow currently, right? Hope you all can hear me well, and can you all see the slides?
Yes, sir. Can you?
Okay, fine, thanks. Now, now all these customers, whatever their business or their relationship, there is a KYC role in each and every customer. Now, if you take this particular diagram, we can get a very clear idea with regard to the net impact and liability at the point of liquidation. We'll assume that these companies I have highlighted, sole proprietorship, partnerships, and companies, they are in the liquidation process. They are going to close down their business. Now, normally what happens at the point of closing down or liquidation, you will have to sell your assets and convert into cash and settle your liabilities. So that's as far as you settle your liabilities, no issue for you to close down a company or any business. So if you take the first three scenarios are based on sole proprietorship, and assets 10 million, liabilities 10 million. At the time of closing down the business, net impact is 0. So no problem, you can sell your business assets in order to settle your liabilities. The second scenario, assets 10 million, 5 million liabilities. Who can enjoy this excess 5 million? In case of a sole proprietorship means single person running a business with a view of earning profits, right? Who can use this excess 5 million in case of a sole proprietorship? Yes?
The proprietor.
Proprietor, because he is the owner. We consider sole proprietor is the legal person behind this sole proprietorship. He is the owner. He can take that money. A third scenario on sole proprietorship, assets 5 million, 10 million liabilities. Who will have to bear the 5 million balance amount or the balance liability 5 million?
The proprietor.
Yeah, so the proprietor then have to pull out from his personal assets and sell those assets and settle the liabilities. So we say when you come to sole proprietorship, sole proprietor's liability is unlimited. Even he has to pull from his personal assets and settle the liabilities. Take the partnership. Partnership is 2 or more people running a business with a view of earning profits. So you have to have 2 or more people. There has to be a business. There has to be earning intention of earning profits. Charities joint are not considered as partnerships because they don't have the intention of earning a profit. So in a scenario where the partnership is going to close down the business, 10 million assets, 10 million liability, net impact is 0. No one is affected out of that. 10 million assets, 5 million liabilities. Who can enjoy this excess 5 million?
The partners.
Partners. They are joint agents of the partnership. So all equally or all based on the capital what they have invested to the partnership can enjoy this excess money. Partnership assets 5 million, liability 10 million. Who have to bear that?
The partners.
Partners, because partners we say they have a joint and several liability. Joint means together, several means if A can't pay, B have to pay. If B can't pay, A have to pay. That is several liability. So partners are agents of the partnership. They are joint and severally liable for the partnership liabilities. So collectively or each one will be, or severally they will be liable for the partnership liability. So it's very clear in case of sole proprietorship and partnership. What are different scenarios, how this how the liabilities will be sorted. Now, if you take the company is an artificially created legal person by the law. Company is simply a name board. All your companies are name boards, where the law has given a legality to your company or to your name board. Without people, company can't exist. What can a name board do without people? That is why the shareholders are there, directors are there, management is there, suppliers are there, consumers are there, customers are there, local authorities are there, banks are there. So around this company, you will have a lot of stakeholders. So governance aspect, balancing all stakeholder responsibility is the biggest challenge for corporate governance. Now companies, if the company is going to close down, winding up, 10 million assets, 10 million liabilities, no problem. You can settle the dues. 10 million assets, 5 million liabilities, who can enjoy this excess money in case of a company?
Is it the shareholders?
Yeah, shareholders as the owners, they can enjoy the excess money. Third scenario, assets, liabilities 5 million, sorry, assets 5 million, liabilities 10 million. Who will have to bear the excess 5 million? 5 million liability. Yes. I have posters. Yes, yes.
The shareholders again?
No.
Directors?
No. I have posted this question for several forums. Almost all the forums have failed to give a proper answer. I'm talking from the bankers point, bankers forum. Yes, Hussein?
Yeah, that depends on the creditors, and I mean there are a lot of stakeholders, I believe.
Okay, the final hit will go to who? Now, it may not be the customers, it not be the employees. Now, stakeholders are customers, employees, banks, suppliers, right? Now, out of these stakeholders, who will get affected out of that? Directors, shareholders. You said directors, I told no. Shareholders, I told no. Then who will be impacted out of that?
Deposit holders.
Deposit holders. I'm not taking a bank actually. I'm taking a normal company. Because banking, if you take a bank, the situation would be much more different. I'm here just talking about a company where they have issued shares to the public, and a public quoted company, public listed company is winding up. Yes. Finally, the creditors. Hussein, you were there somewhere. Creditors. If you have given a loan, company can't pay, you will have to write off. Not the directors. Who says directors? If the directors, yes, Umali?
So if we have obtained a personal guarantee, I'm talking about the banker's point of view.
Yeah.
So as a bank, if we have personal guarantee from directors, so in the event of default, aren't they personally liable for that?
If you have taken a personal guarantee, yes. But if you have not taken a personal guarantee, can you take a personal guarantee of a set of directors who are working for a listed entity?
No, that is not possible.
Not possible at all.
Yeah.
Can you take, if you are giving a facility to Haley's, will the board of directors of Haley's give you a personal guarantee? No.
No.
Not at all.
Even the personal guarantee is obtained, but in the interim, if the shareholding of the like board of directors have been changed, then are they still liable personally for the facilities?
The point is where now you simple question is whether when a guarantor, I have signed as a guarantor. Now I don't have any relationship with that particular person. Now I have to make a request from the bank to change me. If I have signed a guarantee and given to you for excess facility 100 million, now I thought, okay, I should move out from that particular guarantee. I have to give instructions. I have to inform you look here, I'm not going to take this responsibility. You appoint someone else. So until another person comes, still my liability will be there. So practically changing a guarantor is not so easy, right? Because I'm 100% sure you will not release me. At the same time, the customer will not might find another guarantor and bring. So until the facility is paid, my liability will be there. But in between, if I want, I can exit. But for your books, you have to have another guarantor. But in between, now after paying that particular facility, I'll say that I have signed for 100 million. And especially when you are taking a guarantor, make sure that I have adequate assets for that. I can even sign for 100 billion. But if something goes, if I don't have assets, how can you recover that from me? You can't recover from me because I don't have money for that amount. So when you are taking me as a guarantee, don't only think about the position what I'm holding. Now, sometimes the banks, what they do, they get the signature of the principal, school principal, as a guarantor for this 10 million, 20 million facilities. How can that principal pay 10 million, 20 million? Recently, you saw the pay structure of these principals and the school teachers, unless they are into private tuition or something. So don't consider only the reputation, just see their assets and liabilities. I can show you 100 million assets today. Tomorrow, I can sell everything. So at the point of when the liability comes, I will not keep any assets with me. So that is the danger. When you are taking a guarantee, fine, you consider my assets or you consider my position. But when the claim comes, sometimes I'm not holding this position. I may be a retired person. So all those factors should be taken into consideration when you are getting a signature, when you are getting a guarantee, right? So the banker, in this example, the banker is the person who will be liable if you have given a loan. Maybe the suppliers. If the suppliers has given stuff and if there is no adequate assets, suppliers will be affected. Bank will be affected, right? So finally, the impact to the creditors will be high. So that is why the creditors must be very careful on companies. When you realize you are a creditor, if my company is not performing well, you should take action and request me to pay. If I'm not paying, even you can liquidate my company. Even you can file action against my company to liquidate, right? And that is also another option of recovering from companies. So when you start the liquidation process, because I have not paid, I will straight away come and pay you. I will explain that option as well. I will straight away come and settle your loan because I don't want to lose my business. So simply in this structure, it's very clear the creditors will be the affected parties. So that is why we have to ensure that when you are lending for companies, okay, we'll take the sole proprietorship and partnerships also. In the last option, you told the sole proprietor is personally liable. Partners are personally liable. What happens if the sole proprietor and the partners say that we are bankrupt, we don't have assets? Can you get a single cent from them? No. I'm going to declare solvency. I'm insolvent. Or I'm bankrupt. Sorry, not the word. Correct word is bankrupt. Insolvency comes from the company's point of view. So at that time, can you get anything from me? No. That is why the KYC is important. You need to understand my behavior and my movements. Whether I'm purchasing assets, whether I'm selling my assets, what's happening to my business, whether I'm improving. Continuous improvement, continuous relationship is must. Because finally, it will come to your books. Right? So the real concept of KYC, you have to understand why this is important. If you don't maintain that relationship, you will have problems of getting maximum from the customer. I don't think that the customers will, the directors are personally liable. The Companies Act doesn't say that directors are personally liable. There is no clause to that effect. Shareholders are not liable. because their liability is limited to the amount that they have invested in the company. Right? If you have invested 10,000 rupees, only thing that you will not get that 10,000 rupees in case of insolvent liquidation. Other than their liability is limited to the amount what they have invested. So you need to be a little bit careful in that aspect when you're dealing with companies. Through a company, they can default in a big way. Because sometimes you might think when we have a company, okay, we serve corporate clients. We have a very good corporate base, but at the same time, understand corporate clients are the most riskiest customers in this system, right? Then if something goes wrong, you will lose everything what you or their default rates will be high. Sole proprietor, 500 sole proprietors will be just one corporate customer, and corporate customers are demanding, right? They want low, even sometimes you maintain corporate customers below the cost, since you want to show that this corporate customer is with you. So these are the challenges that you need to understand when you're lending, because you lend public money. If I ask you to give 1,000, okay, if I ask you to give 10,000 rupees as a loan, which I will pay you in 1 week's time. Okay, I say I want a cash urgency is there. Can you all give me 10,000 rupees? Any volunteers here to give 10,000 rupees for me? I will return at the next session. Any volunteers? Yes. Any volunteers here? Chandima, Kalpa, what about you two?
Definitely.
Yes, Kalpa. Is Kalpa there? Any reason, Chandima, why you told definitely?
Because we know you,
Yeah.
and we know the amount and your capacity, and the amount is actually it's a repayable amount.
Yeah. So the KYC, you know me, KYC. You know me, that is why you say yes. What about the others? Umali, will you give me 10,000 rupees? Yeah. Oh, only today we
Yes,
interact
of
only for
course.
2-3 hours, no? Now what normally happens, if you're giving that kind of amount, you will satisfy, okay, I will do this, I will give this as a CSR. If I'm not getting, I'm okay with that. No problem. I consider that as a CSR. But if I fail to give you that 10,000 rupees, whenever you see me, you can remember that 10,000. And so based on the relationship, you might say yes, or sometimes you're compelled to do that because you want to maintain the relationship. Sometimes I will default. I may not be defaulting intentionally. I forgot to give this 10,000 rupees. But still you can recall, even after 10 years, you might recall, okay, I gave 10,000 rupees to so-and-so, he didn't give me that money. So the relationship, what we want is that kind of a relationship. If you know your customer, no problem, you can give any amount, but still at the same time, we need to understand regulators are having controls. Regulators will not allow you to lend without securities. So as a requirement, we have to have securities, but make sure when you are getting securities must have a value, right? You need to ensure that you have taken the proper securities in a proper manner, which you can exercise your rights. You have securities, you have incomplete set of files inside a chub under dual control, right? But when the requirement comes, you can't do anything with that. These are the practical issues what we see when you come to documentation. I will highlight certain practical concerns. I will go a little bit detail on that as well. When lending, there are certain points that you have to understand: safety, suitability, and profitability. On a careful analysis of loan application, it must appear to be safe. You are giving a loan not because you want to achieve the year-end target, You feel this, and this is a safe loan where you can recover, right? And you have to see whether it is suitable. The purpose of the loan must be legal and desirable from the standpoint of the economy. Now, if I say that I want to start a boutique hotel, say I want to start a 5-room hotel, is it a suitable requirement under current condition? Can someone tell me? Tomorrow I'm coming to your bank and I want a facility. I'm bringing a feasibility study, and I say I want to start a 5-bedroom boutique hotel. Is it a suitable option at this moment? Yes. Can someone tell me? Is it a suitable option? Is my investment safe?
No, because with the pandemic, like we can assume more
Yeah.
lockdowns and travel restrictions.
Yes.
With that, like you won't be able to perform the business.
Yes. So this my request is not suitable whether I can afford that. But if I request you to give me a facility for 100-bedroom hotel, there is a possibility, no? Even if the foreigners are coming, I have an option. Even if the pandemic is continuing, I have an option, because I can easily give these rooms for either a quarantine center or a entertainment center, or for foreigners to entertain, or even for the locals to entertain. So this obtaining a loan for 5-bedroom is not a suitability. And also, just you need to see whether I can afford this. There were certain instances where the customer, they have taken facility for a house and he has purchased a high-end vehicle. So there were lapses in the credit process as well. And profitability, a banker should not grant facility which do not produce a profit to it. I told you that you are not into charity. We are in a business. So profits should come, definitely. If it is not profitable, why are you giving me a loan? Right? So these are important factors when you are considering a loan for a customer. Secret
So
document.
there's a
Yes.
So I have a small question.
Yes.
So now there are companies with sole director. Am I right? One director companies.
Single shareholder companies. Yes.
Single shareholder companies. Now, if a gentleman of a company where it's a single director company approaches for a facility,
yeah,
what should be our stance in the sense now we see that there is a risk giving a facility to a company.
Yeah.
How do you think we should get about it?
Yeah. So the point is, now we'll say tomorrow I'm going to start a business, single shareholder company. I don't have much assets, right? So see, if I have assets, if I have a lot of cash, then I will not come to you. I can expand I can start and continue. I will come to your bank and I will ask for a facility. So your question is, where you're giving my company a facility, then I don't have assets, then what is the option available for you to give me the facility? First important thing, you have to see whether my business contains these qualities: safety, suitability, and profitability, right? If so, okay, if I don't have any assets, you can say, okay, you give a personal guarantee. And also, when you're giving me, if you're requesting me to give the personal guarantee, you need to see whether I can, in case if the company is going to default, whether I can pay that personal guarantee. Or you can say you bring another personal guarantee from an outsider, or 2 guarantors, 1 third party and 1 director. So answering your question, that is the only way out for if you want to accommodate me with the facility. There is nothing more than that. You have to carefully study and get a personal guarantee and make me liable, but continuously you need to monitor whether I retain these assets what I declared at the point of obtaining the guarantee or not. Right? I would have given this assets now, especially I can give this guarantee to personal guarantee to another company. then you have to have those details as well. I have another account at X Bank. I have obtained a facility from them. I have given a personal guarantee. So there I have a liability of 10 million. Now I come to your bank and I will say, okay, I will give a personal guarantee. Now your exposure is 15 million. So altogether 25 million exposure is there. So you need to check other banks' liabilities as well. If you have given a personal guarantee, don't think about your books. Sometimes bankers are very happy to look after their area and they are not thinking about the other banks. Whether there is a further liability, whether he has signed as a guarantor
So
for a
in that
further
case,
facility.
how do you get the priority?
So you can. There is no priority for your personal guarantee. No priority at all. Your repayment of the guarantee depends on my assets. If I don't have any assets, you will not get a single cent. I'm just signing a guarantee bond to say that I'm personally liable for the company's debts. If the company doesn't have assets, I will get a secondary liability. Primary liability will go to the company. For you to recover from the secondary liability, that is me, I have to have assets. If I don't have assets, you have to write off my facility. So this is the danger. Yes.
So normal practice is in personal guarantees, the guarantor mention the list down their assets owned by them. So like in case that the particular asset is not available at the time of default, then still can we can we realize some other property and recover our debts? Like how is that?
Yeah. So the point is now, when you come to its total liability, now it's total assets, right? You can file action against me and you can win the case as well. And when the fiscal comes to my home, nothing is available at home. So then what are you going to take? You can file 100 cases against me and you can win all the cases. At the point of when the court order comes, court will tell me to pay. I will say I don't have any assets. Then the fiscal will come and seize all the assets which are there at home. So I will have old fridge, I will have old set, old TV. What are you going to do with this? Can you sell those items and get recovery of 10 million or 5 million? So winning a case is different. Recovering out of the assets what I own is a separate issue, right? So don't think when you have the guarantee that you are happy. You have a security. You have a security. No argument. But at the time of at the time when you want to recover that, whether I have adequate assets is the question. If you don't monitor continuously my behavior, my assets and liabilities, you will not get hold of that. There were certain instances. Now, if you take the golden key, there were directors who officially divorced from their families and gave their children gifts, all their properties what they have, to avoid these liabilities. So it's we are giving to an organization, artificially created company, and you are depending on my strengths. So this is the danger. So market practice I can understand. All the banks are doing the same thing. You give a facility to a company. If the company have any assets, you will mortgage that. If the company doesn't have any assets, you take the director's personal guarantee. So that's the market practice across all the banks. But what is the assurance in case if my company can't pay that I will pay? What is the assurance that my company will go in concern? There's no assurance at all. So that is why the KYC is important. Is it clear, Omali? Now tomorrow don't go and don't stop your lending to your companies, right? But understand the gravity, the risk what you take. Even this stands for other businesses as well. So proprietorship, partnership. If the sole proprietor, when you are lending without a security, This will come, but even the securities I will show you, not worth at all. No value at the time of liquidity, at the time of when you're claiming, there is no value at all on those securities. You take stocks, you take book debts, you get properties, you get machineries, you get vehicles. When you want to recover, sometimes this vehicle will be at Panchikavatta into pieces. Machinery, it's outdated. You can't use with the technological change. Stocks will not line at the warehouse. Pledge facilities, sometimes they have come from the roof and taken the stocks. Shares value has gone down, market crash. So comparing with the securities what we take, personal guarantee is from one end is a good security. But still, at the time when you want to claim, I should be able to pay. Right? Clear? Any questions? Any questions? Hope that the senior bankers are not confused. Right. Now the security documentation. Now, why securities for bank? I told you don't lend for security. Right? Lending against securities is not a sound business, lending practice. But however, when the regulator says you have to get a security, yes, you have to have some asset because that's the last option. In case if I can't pay, you will have an asset. You think that you will have asset, and you try to sell that asset and recover your outstanding. Now check with your recoveries and see how many properties are lying with them where they can't sell and recover the outstanding. Check with your legal and see how many instances or the recoveries where I have mortgaged my stocks, but when you want to sell, the case is dragging for years and years. At that time, the stocks will not be there. Check with your legal and see how many machines that they were able to convert into cash. Right? So these are the challenges. So security is a piece of paper for me. There is no value more than that, but the KYC is the most important value asset you can take from a customer. That's the relationship. Right. Availability of legality and unenforceable document. Now, you have not identified the parties. Now, for an example, now if I want a facility, I will come to your bank and I will give my request. So while after considering my request, we will prepare a facility paper and you will get the required approval and you will request me to sign the offer letter. So my intention was to borrow from you. I wanted 500,000 for my personal commitments. Then it's legal. So I came to your bank and had a chat with your branch manager. Branch manager was happy the way that I spoke. You will ask for my salary slips, my income confirmation, my bank accounts. If I had any relationship with your bank, you will go through my past records. And if I am a new customer, you might say, okay, you bring some statements of other banks. If necessary, you will get a reference from another bank as well. So then if you're happy with my requirement and my repayment, you will go through the process and issue me offer. Once I sign acceptance, you will credit my loan and thereafter you will deduct from my account. So you will definitely will say you have to bring your salary to our bank. You have to open an account, and where the money will come, I will give my instructions to my employer to send my money salary to X bank. So there is a clear steps of processes. It's a process with steps, but make sure that you need to ensure that you follow all the steps. Now, sometimes what normally happens for a personal loan like this is fine. you prepare the offer letter, and you issue the offer letter today. I will sign the offer letter today, and you will grant the facility today itself. So there is no problem because it's a small loan. But there can be instances where you grant the loan because I'm urgent, tomorrow I'm leaving the country. Right? I will give you a call and say, okay, for urgent business matter, I have to leave. Can you please credit? I will send you a email to say, please credit. So you have not taken my documentation or documentation pending. So then you will say, no, we can't do that. You initially, at least you have to sign the loan agreement. So sometimes for you to fill the personal guarantee, I have not given adequate information. So you might say, okay, no problem. You come on a later date, and after you return back in 1 week's time, you come and sign the guarantee, but you have to sign the loan agreement. So I will say, okay, no problem. I will sign the loan agreement, and you credit the money. I will take the money, and I will come back, and you will request me to sign the guarantee. So I'm going to sign the guarantee a date subsequent to your loan agreement and date subsequent for your crediting my account. You credited first, I'm signing the loan, the guarantee on 7th. So the question now, whether you can recover from this guarantee which you have given the facility on 1st, because you have not connected these two documents or the guarantee to the facility. Facility will say, offer letter will say a personal guarantee of so and so, but the guarantee dated was on 7th. So on a later date, if I default and if you go to the courts, I will say, look here, I have signed a guarantee, but not for this facility. Process of obtaining secret documentation should be at the time or prior to granting the facility. Here you have taken a guarantee sometime after a week. So at that time, whether I went abroad, and all those will be verbal statement from you, right? So then you are in trouble. There is no frequency of steps that you have followed. In order to help me, in order to keep me happy, in order for your so-called customer service, you out of the way and you help me, and now today I'm a real problem. So you have a facility where my company, I will close down the company, no assets. Your security is not strong. If you go to courts, I will request my lawyer to say this date and the date granted two different, therefore this guarantee is not valid. And at the same time, another example, there are two guarantors to be signed. It's a joint and several guarantee. Only one party has signed. Because I told, okay, I will request the other guarantor to come and sign. I will come once I return. So you gave me the facility because you know at least one guarantor has signed. Because sometime back I signed the loan agreement. After I came, I'm not coming to sign the guarantee. You realize, okay, this person is not going to pay. Now you think of taking action against me. You go to court, file action. You say that I agree to give a guarantee. Now I'm not signing. So you table the guarantee bond where my friend has signed. Now what happened to your guarantee bond? Yes. Can someone tell me what is the validity of the guarantee bond where the two parties have to sign by a joint and several guarantee? Only one party has signed. What is the effect of that particular guarantee? Can you claim that from the person who has signed? Yes. Omali? Can you recover the money from the person who has signed the guarantee bond? Omali?
No, sir.
The guarantee bond will be null and void. No effect at all. Even the person who signed will be out of danger. So my company doesn't have any assets. No, I have given a proper security. So you can't go against my personal guarantee because I have not given a personal guarantee. So be careful when you are giving for a personal transaction. Yes, I can be personally liable, but Make sure that you have given a clean facility without security. So if I say I'm bankrupt, that's it. I declare bankrupt. And if my company says no assets, you have not taken the documentation properly, and you can't link this what you have taken to my facility. So sometimes the bankers say, no, our practice is this. We don't take this document. No. Though the practice doesn't say, if you feel that you have to take an additional document from the customer, request him to give write it on a piece of paper and file that in your file. Right? Then one day, when the legal department is trying to take action, this piece of paper will be useful for you all. So most of the bankers don't understand the importance of a piece of paper where the customer has signed. They always say, no, according to our policy, according to our procedure, there is no requirement of getting a piece of paper. So you get the piece of paper. So there is no stand. You will have certain standard documents, but anything above that, you need to get from the customer, because those will be the evidence for you to prove in the court of law. So you have to have written evidence. What normally happens, the judge will put all evidence into a scale, and any party who have more evidence, 51% will win the case. That is called the balance of probability. So the single document what you took as additional document sometimes will help you to get 51%. Any questions? Now some examples. Parties are not identified properly. Now can you issue an offer letter to a partnership name? Can you issue an offer letter to a partnership name? Yes. Can, yes.
No, we can't issue.
Why? Why can't you issue? Then what is the mechanism of issuing a offer letter to a partnership firm?
I think we have to mention the partners' names also with their partnership name.
Yeah, partnership name is not a legal person. Partnership name can't purchase any assets. If you are purchasing an asset, it has to be in the partner's name. So we say XY Enterprises, there are 20 partners. Now, are you going to address this offer letter for all 20 partners? Yes. Are you going to issue this offer letter to all, you mention all 20 partners' names? A Silva, B Perra, R Ranasinghe, B Ranasinghe, C Ranasinghe, X Ranasinghe? Are you going to include that in the offer letter? Or do we have another different method? Yes. I'm asking from the experts, right? You align the practice. How do you issue an offer letter to a partnership? Your point is right. You have to address to the partners, not the partnership name. So if you have more than where you feel there's no room, best would be to write all the 20 names. But practically, it's not easy. So you can have to say partners, XY Enterprises. Then you are talking about all the partners, not the partnership. Right?
But Mr. Senaratna, there's one
Yeah.
question. But
Yeah.
I have seen some document like for leases registered under partnership. The CR book itself, the partnership name is mentioned. Is
Yeah,
it?
I think no, it's not possible. Maybe due to a mistake they have done it. When you are registering a vehicle, in case of partnership, it has to be in one partner's name, where the other partner must give his consent, no objection letter,
No objection. Yes.
register in the other partner's name. Maybe due to a mistake that they
Mistake,
have done, or they have given some valuable gift. Maybe that may be the reason. Because if you are registering any asset, it has to be in the legal person's name. Partnership is not a legal person. There are two legal persons, artificially created companies and the individuals.
Okay.
Okay. So you need to identify the parties well. And also when you are giving a guarantee joint and several, you need to ensure that you include all partners and all partners must sign. You can get the signatories in different dates, that's not a problem, but all partners must sign. Now, especially in case if you are getting a facility, giving a facility to a partnership, all partners must sign. Not 2 partners, not 3 partners. Now we'll say there are 20 partners in the partnership and they have given 19 of the partners have given a power of attorney to 1 partner. So how are you going to get signatures? How many signatures you required? 20 partners, 19 of the partners have given power of attorney to 1 partner. Now you are getting signatures for the loan agreement. How many signatures that you required in the loan agreement or the mortgage bond? Yes. Yes. Is it 1 signature or 2 signatures? Umali?
1 signature.
1 is enough. Any different answers? Kanchana?
Should be 20 signatures, I guess.
Yeah, you have to get 20 signatures. A as a partner, A on behalf of B, another signature, A on behalf of C, another signature, A on behalf of D, another signature. So you have to have 20 signatures. Maybe the same person is signing in order to create the joint and several liability. So you can get 1 signature for bank instructions to pay a check, but not for facilities. Facilities, in order to create joint and several liability, all partners should sign. Otherwise, you will not be able to create the joint and several liability. The rest of the partners might say, okay, we are not liable. My power of attorney has not signed on behalf of me. So why should I get the liability? Then you are in trouble. So be careful. These are the mistakes what I see where we can't use this debt recovery provision. Signatures on blank documents. Now, what is your practice? Don't worry, we are not going to share this information out. Do you take signatures on blank documents? Yes? Kumudu? Do you all take signatures on blank documents? Indika? Hussein?
No, sir.
No. Right? What about the other banks? Depending on the customer? Is that the answer? Right. So the best would be before you grant the facility, you have to get all the documents signed properly, typed and signed. If you have the habit of getting signatures on blank documents, because the argument is where you need to give a quick service. Giving quick service and signing incomplete documents are 2 different. If you want, yes? Yes, Kumudu. Yes, Kumudu. You want to say something? Right. Giving the best service and getting signatures on blank documents are 2 things. If you want to give the best service, you should complete the documents and sign, get the signatures as soon as possible, not getting signatures on blank documents. Once I saw, that's on a leasing company, where there were 2 guarantee bonds signed. When the branches are given authority, it's not clear, Kumudu.
Yeah, that happens, but now it is not happening.
Sorry, it's not clear, right? There were 2 guarantee bonds. Yeah, that's great. That's what we want. Right? When the, so your point is when the with the centralization, you type everything and you deliver, and after getting signatures only centrally you release. So that's a very good control, right? But unfortunately, what I have seen the common mistakes, now the branch might say tomorrow the customer is going abroad. So all these customers are all of a sudden going abroad, right? Even in any facility, even a credit card customer is going abroad. Even a loan facility, housing loans, they rush the legal officers to check the title because the customer is leaving. Customer was waiting for years and years, and all of a sudden he wanted to get a facility, and one particular day delay, the customer is leaving. So let them go here and come. He may be going, if it may be a quick one, and he will be coming within a week. So why you want to hurry? So don't push your team unless you see any mistake from your end. You need to rectify, but don't push your own team members. And finally, when you rush, sometimes there will be a lot of mistakes. So be careful. Don't push that. Right? So it's not worth, because sometimes they might give opinion without checking the documents. So finally, the organization will be impacted on that. Now, signing on blank documents, I have seen in certain instances offer letter. Now, offer letter, normally what you have to do is, when you're signing the offer letter, you will include all the conditions. You will include the amount of the facility, installment, security, and you will have certain clauses, and the bank officer will sign. Underneath, I have to sign. Now, in certain offer letters, the customer has signed on the bottom, but your documentation printing will over somewhere halfway. Or sometimes the customer has signed at the middle, your typing has gone down. So those are clear, very black and white evidence to show that you have signed documentation on blank documents. Now, when the customer is signing in Sinhala, we'll say that I'm signing, if the customer is signing in Sinhala, do you have a habit of placing a rubber stamp to say ihata karunu therungana atsankara or something? You all have that use, practice? Omali? Do you take that kind of a seal, places that kind of a seal and get the signature?
Currently, no. So majority sign in English. So like practically that issue has not come up. But in case if they sign in Sinhala, we need to do that.
So you're doing that if the customer is signing in Sinhala, right? Right, okay. So some banks, they have that practice. Now we'll assume that Mrs. Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumartunga is coming, she's signing in Sinhala, right? She's coming to your bank and she, forget about that, she's a PEP. She wants a facility, right? And she says, okay, I want 50 million. Everything is fine. Don't get this PEP part. And you request her to sign. And you place the seal, ihata karunu therungena assam karami. Now she might wonder why you place this seal. So your assumption is where, and you place that in Sinhala. Sometimes she can't read this and understand because her English is very good, and she went to Oxford College in UK and she got English education. And since because she is signing in Sinhala, you place this rubber stamp. Don't you think it's a little bit outdated? Or it's you at that time you will have, when her English is better than us, the way she talk, way her behave, she might ask a lot of questions from English. Sometimes we also can't understand what she says because her English is so much good.
In that case, that stamp is not required, but only thing, if a client can't understand English, so in case the facility is default, then he can goes to the court and say like, I didn't at the time of signing, I didn't understand what they are mentioned.
What was there? Okay. Yeah. Right. How do you know whether he understood or not? What is the measurement that you have? I'm just talking to find solutions. And nothing I'm not finding, because majority of the systems, they do this mistake. How to arrive at a decision to say that he understood or he didn't understand that particular information?
Based on his background. So like if it's a doctor, he can't goes to court and say like I didn't understand what there was. But like
Okay.
when a former president like Miss Bandaranaike, she can't go to the court and say like I didn't understand. But it's like a kind of a based on their background and the education level. It's simply it's based on their KYC. We can predict that whether they understand or not.
Right. If a person is signing in English, do you have all these checks and balances?
No.
No. So how do you know whether he understood or not? There's a question.
If
No?
he has signed in, the person has signed in English, then like they can't go to court and say that they didn't understand, isn't it?
No. How can you come to that conclusion? So best is forget about your seal. Request the customer based on whatever his language, what he is going to use, irrespective of the language of his signature, either to say I agree with the above terms and conditions, or I understood above terms and conditions on his own handwriting and place his signature. Or ඉහත කරුණු තේරුම්ගෙන අත්සන් කරමි අත්සන් කළා. So then you are not depending on a seal. He has to write whether he understood what is there in the contract or offer letter or not. Then you have covered everything. Don't come to the assumption that when a person is signing in English, that he can understand what is there. And for an example, my signature, a line and 2 dots. I'm going to place my signature, a line and 2 dots. Now, what is your seal that you're going to use here? Yes, just a line, 1 dot above center and 1 dot below center. This is my signature. Now, what is the seal that you're going to use, Somali? Don't think I'm taxing you. I'm just asking your certain to clarify and explain this point. These are the mistakes that I'm talking here, that we have failed to go to debt recovery provisions. So if my signature is a line and 2 dots, what is the seal that you're going to place there?
Normally, we don't place that the stamp which is in that particular wording in Sinhala.
Okay.
That's practice.
Yeah. So if I'm using a symbol, then you are not bothered about that. You just say, okay, you come to assumption that I know I can understand what is there, and you straight away you place the signature and finish it. Any points that Kumudu you can add on that?
So do we accept symbol type of signatures in the banks? We normally
Why not? It's my signature. You can't request me to change my signature. It's a human rights violation. What you can say is it's a weak signature. Fine, no problem. So I'm ready for that.
We say we normally say that's a weak signature.
So what? So that's my problem. You can advise me.
Those are the practical questions we are having actually.
Yes. So what you can do is you can tell me, okay, this is a weak signature. Then you can bring the indemnity, weak signature indemnity. I'm placing my weak signature on the indemnity and I'm giving to you. I know that anyone can place this weak signature, so I'm taking the responsibility. So you can't say that you are not accepting, because this is my signature. I have the human rights to take even just a dot. So you are dealing with a customer where you are also at high risk. Right? So this is the problem that we see. You need to be a little bit careful and smart as well. You can't request me to change my signature. So properly make sure that rather than requesting any customer, whether you now as a practice from tomorrow, whether you are placing the seal or not, it's no problem. Request the customer. I know this may not be in your book guideline. Request just the customer based on his knowledge or the language what he is conversant. I agree with the above terms and conditions, or I understood what is there in this offer letter, dated, and ask him to place his signature. Or ask him, "Yata karnu therungena ada dina mama assam kalami," and ask him to place his signature. So it's going to be a very perfect document where on a later date the customer can't deny.
That
And
wording is required only in offer letter or all the other documents like the loan agreement?
Offer letter now, simply loan agreement. Do you give a chance for the customer to read the loan agreement? Can you understand what is there in the loan agreement? Do you know what is there in the mortgage bond? Pages. Altogether there are 12 pages. Can you understand what is there as a banker? No, all legal jargon. So, okay, you give that the customer to sign. Do you think that he can understand what is there? If you give 2 hours, if you give a copy and go home and read and come, do you still believe that he can understand? No, he can understand. So more appropriate is the offer letter. That's where the key conditions comes. Loan agreement and the mortgage bond will have standard clauses. No customer will read up to top to bottom and understand and answer, but he can understand what is there in the offer letter. Especially, at least you can fix him to say you knew what we are going to take as security. Right? Normally, you don't give a copy of the mortgage bond to the customer. No. Do you give a copy of the mortgage bond and loan agreement to the customer after you sign it? No, you don't give. Right? Just give me 1 minute. You don't give the reason. You say, in case of a tax requirement only, you are going to give the document. Other than that, you are not going to give the documents. No copies. So easily then I can give you a letter to say, sorry, right? Easily you can say, if easily I can request, I want for tax purposes, give me a copy of the mortgage bond. So at that time, you will give me a copy of the mortgage bond. So bankers are reluctant to give a photocopy from the out of the agreement which I have signed. Right. So my request is just only for the offer letter is adequate, at least, because you don't have any control over that. At least if you have that statement in the offer letter, on a later date the customer can't say I signed without knowing what is there. Right? And at the same time, you will not be able to give a document, a blank document to sign. So these are small things, but these are important when you come to documentation. Incomplete document, sometimes the date is not filled properly. Sometimes now there is a habit of getting initials all over the places. Date, interest rate, account number, customer address, customer name. Normally, the initials are required if you have changed the content, especially in case of loan agreement. Right? In non-executed, non-attested documents, sometimes the bankers have a argument to say, in order to get the customer's consent, you have taken the signature or initial for the loan amount, loan interest, security. So that's another argument. But simply for the loan agreement, you don't have to get initials all over the places. If there is an overtight, yes, you need to get the initial. Other than that, there is no requirement. Because it will help the customer to go to courts and say, look here, they gave me a blank document, I signed the blank document. So it's not a valid justification from the customer to say that I signed a blank document. He is also responsible. But still, it gives a bad image with regard to your organization, saying that you are giving blank documents and getting customer signatures. Right. Proper procedure is not followed when executing stamping and registration. Within 21 working days means within 21 working days. And sometimes you register after 21 days. Stamping on or before. I will take one simple example. Stamping, sometimes you might deduct it from the customer's account and credit the stamp duty account and recover. You have granted the facility today, but you have posted the stamp duty account transaction tomorrow. So then on or before stamping is not there. Subsequently, you have stamped. So then you can't prove that you have paid the stamp duty on or before. So make sure that I might say tomorrow I'm leaving, I will come around 5 o'clock. You prepare the documents and I will sign, please credit. You credit my facility, but you don't deduct the stamp duty amount. You postpone it to the following day. And as a result, as an entry, it will be after signing the document. Therefore, the concept of before signing, on or before signing will not be met. And technically, there is a defect in your documentation. Right? Simply from a money recovery action, where you file the plaint and answer will come, and there'll be a pre-trial session and there'll be a trial and the judgment comes. It's a long process. For that particular process, if you can prove that I have requested, you have credited into my account and I have utilized that money, that's more than enough. You don't have to prove all these things to the point. But if you're going for the debt recovery provision, your 100% perfect set of documents should be there. Even a small technical thing will throw your documents out. Any questions? Right. Selecting wrong procedure for recovery, right? This is important. You have to ensure you select the correct procedure. There are different procedures applicable for recovery. And out of the procedures, you have to select the best procedure. Now, debt recovery is one of the important processes. Actually, this debt recovery provision was introduced. This is available only for the banks. Unfortunately, banks don't file action. Right? As quick as possible, if you can get the money, time value of money will create a huge impact. If you can recover what you have given within 3 months at a rate of 10%, your value will be 97,600. If you recover the same 100,000 after 5 years, the value of that will be 66,600. But when you have inflation, when you have uncertainty, this will go further down. When the rupee is getting devaluated, this will go further down. Now, what is more important? Value of 100,000 available in 5 years will be 66,000 today. Is it worth the price or to go for a debt recovery provision? Now, my strong belief is that even you 100% waive off your interest portion, and if you can get at least the capital amount what you have lent, that's fine. Now, banks sometimes they argue for this small interest portion, and they keep on dragging their cases. If you get money today, tomorrow you can lend. But if you are going to get this money in 5 years' time, you will get almost the half of the amount what you have given, and interest earning income earned, you won't be able to get for another 5 years. So this is common sense approach of settling loans. Now, sometimes you might have an argument, so no, we have to file action. Who says that you have to file action? I always recommend for go to settlements. Through settlements, it's a win-win type of situation. Right? You can, if you have the negotiating power at that time. You negotiate and give a concession. Show the customer that we are giving a considerable concession for him. You are not losing anything out of that. Right? Show him we are giving 60% interest waive. Still you are getting 40%. If you give 70%, still you are getting 30% plus capital. Tomorrow you can reinvest this, no? you have got almost 30% interest. When you go and put a deposit at a bank, will you get 30% interest? So think in a different way, because all our customers are having problems. We have problems, customers are having problems. But at the same time, when you want to, since you have the pressure, when you try to put pressure to the customer will not be able to pay a single cent. Use your KYC and understand the customer position and try to go for a win-win type of a situation, right? Otherwise, you will not be able to recover what you really want from the customer. Any questions? Now, different options to recover debts: settlement, mediation board, money recovery actions, debt recovery actions, parate execution, mortgage bond actions, creditors winding up. So these are the all options available for debt recovery. Sorry, recover debts. You have given me a loan, I have not paid. So you have all these options. So for me, number one priority is a settlement. You negotiate with me, but you have to negotiate at the right time. At the inception itself, because you know me well through KYC, if you build the rapport, if you build the relationship, definitely I will come to a favorable settlement with you. You can refer it to mediation board. I think it's 500,000. No. Any transaction, if the loan amount is less than 500,000, you have to refer it to the mediation board. The other one is a money recovery action. That's the more common action. Almost 100% of the cases are filed under money recovery, and the best would be debt recovery. Parate auction, you know a lot of practical issues are there in the parate auction. Any cases that you can't go for this parate, you will go for mortgage bond action, which will take years and years. Parate, though, we say, okay, even without going to court, the board of directors can pass a resolution and acquire the property. You will have a lot of properties, right? Where there is no resale value. There is no market. No one is going to buy. And the last option is the creditors winding up. Normally, the banks won't tell you, or the financial institution will not go for creditors winding up. That provision comes from the Companies Act. So my priority number one is settlement. Failing that, you need to ensure that you have a set of documents for debt recovery actions. Any questions? Yes, any questions?
What's the difference between money recovery action and debt recovery action?
I will explain that. I have slides to that effect. I will be taking each and every one and I will explain that. Okay. Anything else? So the Mediation Board Amendment Act, I think it's 500,000. No, anything below 500,000, you have to refer to the Mediation Board. Any idea? Sorry, I'm a little bit out of touch on this particular amount.
Yes, 500,000.
Yes. So here normally you get either settlement or a non-settlement. You know, if there's a settlement, even for you to proceed, you have to file an action. So mediation boards are not effective at all, but since the law says you will have to get either settlement or non-settlement. But mediation board is not a effective method, right? Then I told you the settlement is the first one. Step in legal action on recovery of debt. Now, the amount owed, letter of demand and time limits. What I have to pay, this must be properly calculated with supporting documents. Sometimes when this is called the position statement of the facility. What is the capital amount? What is the interest amount? Right? Normally, you can't capital amount. There is a limit, maximum limit. Now we'll say capital. You gave me 100,000. Now you want the interest outstanding is 200,000. Whereas the capital outstanding at that time is 80,000. You gave me 100,000. I have paid capital 20,000. So the capital outstanding is 80,000, whereas the interest outstanding is 120,000. For a long period, I have not paid. Now the capital interest outstanding is higher than even the original capital and even the outstanding capital. How much you can recover there? The amount where you can recover from that particular example, you gave me 100,000. I paid for 1 year. Now the capital outstanding is 80,000. After 5 years, interest outstanding is 120,000. Now what is the amount that you can recover from me? Yes. Definitely we will go for 120,000 interest, no? So theoretical approach is where you can recover interest, the capital equal to capital sum you gave it to me. That is 100,000. So you can claim interest 100,000, not 120. Right? So without showing this figure, sometimes you prepare a block figure in the position statement to say total outstanding as at this date 120 and 80, 200,000. So when the judge, if the judge doesn't know what has really happened, but properly you should say what is capital outstanding is 80,000, interest outstanding is 120. Instead of showing that you saw, okay, interest have gone beyond the passing the capital granted, you couple these two and you give a report to say total outstanding asset. So this, from that you can't get a clear picture. If I'm the opposing lawyer against your bank, I will ask that question, then you are in trouble. And the letter of demand, it is necessary to send the debtor a letter of demand through a lawyer claiming payment and informing that failing which litigation will commence. So you have to send me a letter of demand. You can't send me the letter of demand because my address is not there. You send the letter of demand registered post and the letter got returned. So with that, you are going to courts and file action. Then the court might ask, did you serve the letter of demand? You will say, no, it got returned. That's the end of your story. So that is the problem with regard to KYC. You have given me a facility without knowing my latest address. I have given the old details and I have obtained a facility from you. So you can't maintain the case against me because you can't serve the letter of demand. Without demanding, how can you claim my money? Then you are in trouble. And also time limits. The bank must ensure that the debt is not prescribed. There are certain prescription period under the prescriptive laws. Loan 6 years from the last date of payment. Check 6 years from the check return. Mortgages 10 years from the last date of payment. Permanent overdraft 6 years from the last date of payment. TOD is 3 years from the last date of payment. Casual OD is 3 years from the last date of payment. So mortgage bond, you have 10 years. If I'm not paying, you have a time frame up to 10 years to take action against me. So what normally happens if you're keeping your file without taking action for 10 years, by that time, a lot of things can happen. I would have gone from that home to another home and another home. So where you can't trace me at all. Because we don't have a centralized system in Sri Lanka. If we had a centralized system, definitely I will default you, but if I would have another account with another bank, those information you can get from the central system. Because the one reason for a lot of defaults is where you don't have a centralized system to get this KYC information. And the accuracy of KYC is a question. Accuracy depends on what I give it to you. If I give a wrong detail, you update that as a KYC. You say, this is what I gave it to. Yes, it's true that this is what I gave, but I have given a wrong information. So your records are outdated or not contain wrong information. You're taking a call on me based on my wrong information. So you fall into great difficulties because of these practices. Now, basic points: whom to sue? A human being, business entity, or a legal entity who is liable for paying the debt has to be clearly identified before suing. Whether you are going to sue the partners, whether you are going to sue the company, whether you are going to sue the director, whether you are going to sue the individuals, that has to be clearly identified at the beginning. And proper court, you have to select which court you are going to file action. If you select a wrong court, then you are in trouble. Summary list of steps for money recovery. So money recovery means there is a process. Once you, now I have defaulted, I have taken 100,000, I have defaulted. You send me continuous reminder, I'm not responding. You send me the letter of demand, I got the letter of demand. In the letter of demand, you will say, on such and such a date, I obtain a loan from your bank. And by this date, capital outstanding is this, interest outstanding is this. If you don't pay within 21 days or by this date, we are compelled to take legal action within 21 days. So I have received that. Now you have a cause of action to file against me and go to courts. So you prepare the plaint, then your file will get transferred to the legal department. One of the legal officers will prepare the plaint. Plaint says, now you are taking action against me. I'm the defendant, you're the plaintiff. The person who first go to the courts will be the plaintiff, against whom the case is filed is the defendant. So you're the plaintiff, I'm the defendant. No one knows who is going to win. Finally, the judgment will come based on the balance of probability. So always the banker must make sure that you will get 51%, and I have to prove I have 51%. So either it will be the plaintiff or the defendant. So that's what I told you. Any document, what you take it from the customer, you can use it to strengthen your site. So then your lawyers will say, on such and such a date, I open the account and the mandate attaches attachment number 1. And while continuing business relationships, I requested a loan on such and such a day, the request letter dated. And based on the request made on this date, the bank decided to give a facility of 500,000. And I have signed this offer letter dated this on this particular date. And based on the offer letter, I have given a personal guarantee or ex security. And the facility was granted on this date. The facility what was credited to your account number on this, I have utilized time to time. I have issued checks and I have utilized that particular money. However, from this date onwards, you have not paid. We have sent the letter of demand on this date, no response. Therefore, we seek court permission to take action against X to recover our total outstanding, capital this amount, interest this amount, plus any legal fees from this customer. So from birth to the last point, you prepare a story. So that is called the plaint. So you will include all the supportive documents, mandate, request letter, offer letter, loan agreement, secret documents, your corresponding letters, your letter of demand. If I have given a corresponding letter, those things, admitting the loan, you file everything and send it to the courts. File in the courts. So now the courts fiscal have to serve this summons. So there will be a set of documents called summons. Along with the summons, the fiscal have to serve the plaint as well. So once the documents are signed, delivered, the defendant will get the option of coming to the courts and filing his proxy and entering into the contract. So initially there will be a pre-settlement. The court will say, you go and settle first. Failing that, you come here. So then I will negotiate with you. So best thing, you have to take action at that time and fix me to say, okay, we will give you a settlement. We will give you 60% waive off. Will enter terms in the courts. So then I'm entering my settlement in the courts. Now we have a mentally, we feel when we give a promise to the courts, we somehow will try to fulfill that, no? We have a fear, whatever said and done, I have a fear to courts. I have a fear to for police officers. Police officers are going to a police and making a complaint. Because we know that those are unnecessary problems, no? If you have a court case, it's a real headache. Top of that, I have given a commitment to the court to say I will settle in 10, 12 installments. So somehow I will settle that. Because I want to keep my head clean without problems. So then you get the commitment, and if I don't if I don't pay in line with the settlement, then the matter will be fixed for trial. So then you will produce your documents, I will produce my documents, our lawyer will cross-examine your witnesses. So it's a legal battle. Legal battle will go for 4-5 days. After the trial is over, your lawyer will have to file a written submission. I have to file written submission through the lawyer. So based on the written submission and the trial outcome, judge will see who will have more evidence. If the judge feel I have more evidence, I will win the case. You will lose, but still you can appeal it to the higher court. Or you can win, I will be losing, I can appeal to the higher court. So if I'm not appealing, you can execute your writ and send your fiscal, officers and fiscal, and seize what is there in my house. That's it. That's the normal money recovery process. It will take more than 4 to 5 years. Maybe a very simple contract, it can be just 50,000 default of a credit card facility. But you have to follow these steps. So after 5 years, not only you, I have also lost. Going up and down for court cases, business opportunity, cost, legal fee, mental hassle, right? So always show the customer, look here, you pay, we will assist you. That's the part of settlement. Don't try to fight for every cent. I have seen in certain instances, people, the bankers fight for cent. 1 rupee, 2 rupees, even for 10,000 rupees. Forget about that. As much as possible, try to get the money earliest as possible and relent that. So these are the steps that you will have to follow under money recovery action. Any questions?
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So now after filing a case, if the customer directly approaches us or the recoveries department, and he says that he is willing to do a part settlement, what should be the process, sir?
Yeah, so you inform the courts if you are sure. You inform the courts there is a settlement. Even a halfway trial also, you can inform there's a settlement. You enter the settlement terms in the courts to say on such and such a day he will pay 50% of the loan, and the balance will be settled in 1 year's time. So that settlement you are going to hold the trial, and you are going to enter this settlement in the courts. So after that, the court will say, okay, now you agree to pay in 1 year's time. No, the court will say we recall this case in 6 months time to see the progress. So but by that time, if I have paid 50% initially and another 5 installment thereafter, you can say, sir, this is ongoing. Customer has by this time, he has paid already 60% of the loan. There is only 40% remaining. We'll call this matter in another 6 months time. So once after the 6 months, when the matter comes to the courts, you can inform, look here, the customer has settled everything. Then the matter is over.
So what if the customer directly deposits into his account at the bank? Will that have an implication on the case that it has been filed?
Yeah, so I'm depositing, we say there's 100,000, I'm depositing 100,000 into, so the trial has started.
Yes.
I'm depositing 100,000 and I'm requesting you to recover You will say your total amount is 100,000. I deposit 100,000 into my account, and I'm going to give you a letter to say, recover my total outstanding from this particular case and request the courts or inform the courts that I have settled the loan in full. So what you have to do, you have to recover your full outstanding, and on the next trial date, there is no requirement for me to come, but better I will also come, inform the courts on this particular trial, the customer has paid in full, so there is no case for us to continue. That's the end of the story. Right, so that those terms should come from you. You have to inform the courts to say that I have settled in full. So sometimes the court might say, okay, you sign, both parties will sign, then the matter is over.
So now there is a to my understanding, as far as the practice goes, now when there is a what do you call a court case going on, you normally do the banks don't collect into that particular customer's account, isn't it? Is there something like that?
No. Now, for an example, okay, I have an account. Are you going to restrict credit the depositing money into my account? I don't think. If so, you have to put a restriction. No, my account is in Colombo. I'm going to go to Anuradhapura and deposit 100,000. So there is no problem, no, unless you have put a restriction to say credit not allowed. So I don't think the bankers will do that. As much as possible, you can get money from
Yes.
from me. That's bonus for you all, no. No, that is, I don't think there's such call. That's that's kind of a restriction for you all. You can collect money.
So my final question.
After that, but you can't. When the trial is on, if I don't give you a letter, right, you can partly settle. That may be the concern that you're talking.
Yes,
but I have to
you're
come
right.
to
You're
I
right.
have to come to a settlement. Maybe that I deposit 50,000 and I will give you a letter. Okay, we'll go for a part settlement. And on the next day, you inform the courts, he has done a part settlement, so our liability has come down. And at the same time, on the next day, if I say, okay, I'm agreeable to go for a settlement, then the court will stop that process and allow me to pay as agreed in the settlement terms.
So before informing the courts, if the bank sort of recovers from whatever that has been deposited, is that wrong to do that? I mean, should you first inform the courts and do it first?
No, now the concern is where if the customer gives you a letter, if I'm going to give you a letter, I will deposit the money. If I give you a settle to fully settle this outstanding, then there is no problem. With my consent, you have deducted, no?
Yes.
So then there is no problem at all, no?
No, if the customer say, and I say he's doing sort of a part settlement and he wants a concession, but the concession has still not been settled between the bank and the customer.
Yeah, so customer is also not depositing the money then.
In an instance where the customer has already deposited, because he wants to show that he's committed towards the settlement.
Yeah.
At that moment, if the bank, now for example, there'll be legal charges and things like that. If the bank jumps the gun and recovers the legal charges first, is it wrong to do that?
Yeah, it's not ethical, no. You now, for an example, now big customers you write off billions and billions, but small customer you are trying to get this, even the small legal charge. So it's not fair. It's not an ethical practice, I would say.
Okay.
From an ethical point of view, I can't agree on that particular decision because it's not reflecting nice on your bank, no.
Correct.
Yeah. So ethically, you should not do that.
So the correct process would be to go by the settlement first, isn't it?
Yeah. So I might say, okay, I'm ready to go for a settlement. We'll enter the settlement terms at the next court on the next date. Or I can say, okay, I will. Then the bank might say, you deposit 25,000, then we'll go for a settlement. So then, okay, fine. I will deposit 25,000. Sometimes until you get the court clearance or enter the settlement, you can put a hold and keep that money in the account with my
All right.
consent. With my consent, right? So you need to get the customer's consent, because sometimes customer might say something differently, where
Okay.
he deposits and he issued a check and then the check got bounced, and verbal things are not agreeable. It has to be in written form. I'm depositing 25,000, please hold until the next settlement, and at that particular settlement you give me a waiver of 10 further 10%. So with that, you have to have a discussion prior to the court, and I will agree on that, and at the next court date, both of us will come and we'll enter according to the terms, and I can say, look here, I have already given 25,000, and all those will be deducted, and finally the terms will you can enter the terms.
All right, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Any
Mr.
questions?
Senapatha,
Yes.
there can be a situation where the customers are taking time from the bank. Like for example, once we issue a letter of demand, right? We have to mention particular outstanding amount and the accrued interest from this date, likewise, right?
Yeah.
Thereafter, once the deadline is over, customer is not replying, right? There is no deposit, but there is an interim period that the bank takes to file a case, no, right?
Yeah.
Then of course come a customer with the advice of someone or with their experience, so they deposited money, right?
Okay.
But then of course when we file a case with that previous LD, there is a mismatch with the outstanding amount and the present amount.
Yeah.
What happened in that case?
So what you can do is, now you can have a negotiation, you can have a discussion with the customer. What are you going to do? Are you going to settle, or are you going to go for a legal battle? If says settlement, you try to give a settlement without filing the case and watch for 3 months and see whether this person is paying or not. If he says, no, I'm not going to settle, I want to go for a legal battle, send another fresh letter of demand for the new outstanding, and from that you proceed. That's it.
We have to send another fresh LD.
Yes, you have to. Now if there's a considerable change in the original amount, because you have to demand what is due from the customer, right? You can't demand something more than what is outstanding. So prudent practice is, customers, they do. Yes.
Purposely do.
They purposely do it, and they might say that when you go to courts, they might say this outstanding, this is what I got for this outstanding. I have not got a letter of demand. Yes.
That's true.
Yes. Any other questions? Right. So what we will do, we will continue the rest of the slides at the next session, and I will discuss some important points with regard to the security documentation. Okay. Any questions? So we'll call for the day. And please bring your questions. With my limited knowledge, I will try to assist you. Sharing your views and your ideas and your practical problems will help us to learn a lot. Okay then, thanks a lot. Make sure that you follow all these so-called controls.